Call the April 7th City Council meeting to order. Commissioner Smith is going to give us our pledge prayer and fact of the day.
Let's send that to the prayer. Our Father God, we come once again, a few of your servants that you've allowed to come and participate in this city business. We ask now for your continued guidance, your leadership, and your direction, that all that we shall say and do will be pleasing and acceptable in your sight. Bless these that are in our presence this afternoon. Bless the homes in which we represent. Bless this council when we make decisions that will affect the lives of the citizens in the city of Apopka. All of these things we ask in thy son Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Our fact for today,
Oh, we got to stand back up.
on April 7th, 1805, Lewis and Clark resumed their westward expedition after spending the summer camp along the upper Missouri River, near present-day Bismarck, North Dakota. They began their expedition in the spring of 1804 near St. Louis, Missouri, as part of efforts to explore and map out land west of the Mississippi River, bought as a part of the Louisiana Purchase. In the spring of 1805, they resumed the trip with their Indian guide, Sacagawea. They completed an 8,000-mile journey in 1806 when they reached the Pacific. All for the day.
Thank you.
Yeah, Commissioner Smith and I's variety show will be after the city council meeting.
Okay. Anybody need any adjustments to the minutes? I had one slight change, Susan, on, let's see what page. Page 13 at the bottom says Commissioner Velasquez said that the question for one of the residents sent an email today and said that prior to the school opening next year, would there be a traffic signal light on Kelly Park Road? So you just had Kelly, so you just need to add Park Road. Other than that, any other changes to the minutes? If not, look for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Bankson.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Smith. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Edward?
There are no changes to the agenda, Mayor.
Okay, all right. Proclamation. I need to have the proclamation back. Hard for me to read it. Oh, well, this is a proclamation for, we were working on this, how many years? Because, last year we didn't have the Foliage Festival, so we had to go back and redo to make it the 59th. So anyway, I want to read the proclamation. This has, become absolutely our number one event, across the city. Everybody, knows it's the last full weekend in April, Foliage Festival. And so we're just so happy to have the ladies here so we can present the proclamation. And proclamation reads, whereas the Apopka Women's Club organized 64 years ago and has been instrumental in sponsoring the Apopka Art and Foliage Festival for many years, it's the City of Apopka's pleasure to be a part of the 59th Apopka Art and Foliage Festival in 2021. And whereas the City of Apopka has long been known as the indoor foliage capital of the world, the Apopka Women's Club has expanded the foliage displays to attract a broader range of foliage enthusiasts, making the Apopka Art and Foliage Festival one of the premier festivals in Central Florida. And whereas Kitland Nelson Park is the site of the 2021 Apopka Art and Foliage Festival, providing a scenic and welcoming atmosphere for the thousands of visitors to the festival. And whereas the City Council and the citizens of the City of Apopka want to recognize and commend the Apopka Women's Club for providing this family-oriented entertainment for our community. And whereas the City Council invites all citizens to join the Apopka Women's Club in extending a warm welcome to the many visitors during the 2021 Apopka Art and Foliage Festival. Now, therefore, I, Brian Nelson, Mayor of the City of Apopka, Florida, by the virtue vested in me by the City of Apopka, do hereby proclaim April 24th and April 25th, 2021 as Art and Foliage Festival Weekend. So if anybody want to say anything, or
Where's
You
our
need to-
president? Madam President?
We're very excited to have this festival this year, especially since it was canceled last year. We're looking forward to being bigger and better. We've got a full complement of artists, crafters, and foliage specialists, not to mention lots of good food. And this year, we're going to have a beer and wine garden, which will be a first for us. So we're very excited, and we welcome all the citizens of Apopka to come see us.
Great, thank you, Joe. All right. So ladies, y'all want to meet us down front? Commissioners, grab your mask and we'll get a picture with the.
Look forward to it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Hey, it's good seeing you. Listen, I'm gonna get to you tonight. Thank you.
All right, next up, public comment. Susan, do you have any?
Gary Childress.
Okay.
Gary.
Good morning, or good afternoon. Gary Childress, 3914 Caledonia Avenue in Rock Springs Ridge. Dear Honorable Mayor and City Commissioners, I would like to give thanks to you for continuing to work with our HOA towards securing the former golf course lands for our community, once and for all, so that we may end our ever-present, ever-looming threat of houses being built on our beloved and treasured green space. It is my faith that your commendable efforts will be successful. It is also my hope that our community will be made whole once again, and various problems that resulted from the addition of 300 magical acres and overbuilding of almost 200 excess homes will be addressed and remedied in an amicable way for all my fellow neighbors and families who have been adversely affected by it. I'm confident that with your assistance, Rock Springs Ridge will continue to thrive as one of Apopka's premier communities. I am for no amendment to land use, no rezoning in the neighborhood, no changes to the PUD, and for acquisition of the former golf course for the HOA. Thank you very much again, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, for your continued efforts to save our green space. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Okay, does anybody else from the public want to speak just on? Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Good afternoon. My concerns are at the.
Need to give your name and address for the record, please, sir.
Okay, Jimmy Howard, 1013 South Central Avenue here in Apopka. Okay, my concerns are the activities around, at this point, the activities around 10th Street and Central. Okay, number one, we have the store there that's selling beer, and the guys come out and drink around the store. And across the street, you have the church. So what are the city rules on open containers and drinks, beer being sold at a religious establishment? Are there any rules or laws against that? And then the next thing is, in the city and in my area, you have these guys every evening come with loud music, and in my house, I shouldn't be able to hear that. But I see a Apopka police is in the area at all times, and nobody stop it. The next thing is parking on 10th Street. On the city side, you had no parking signs down through there, and you had shrubbery down through there. But yet, they still park on the sidewalks, both sides. No police do anything about moving them. But I'm saying if it was across other parts of the town, what would happen? Do I have to continue to live with this, you know? And other people can live free without it? And then you have trash pickup in our area, in the city. What are the rules on picking up trash? Sometimes I go through areas and I see stuff there for weeks. And I have to call the city sometime to get them to come out and pick up trash in my area. So what are the rules on it? Are they different in my area than they are in other areas? And if so, why do I have to live with it? And I said I was born and reared here in Apopka in 1944. Been in the city all my life. Seen the city go from where it was until where it is now. And these some things, I will come back and talk to you, Mayor. Sure. But these are things need to be looked into by the city.
Yes.
And I know across 10th Street belongs to the county, but what can the city do with the county to help maintain the same activities?
Standards, Mr. Howard, I would suggest, if you'd like, you got chief and deputy chief in the back, on the back row, taking notes, I see. If you'd like, if you just want to call my office, and then I can bring Josh in from our solid waste, and we can just sit down and kind of go through those issues. Be happy to sit down with you, and let's see what we can, find out. So Chief, if you'll kind of research, I don't know what the open container, I don't think that's us. Is that the county? You need to, Chief, can you come down? We probably need to get this on record. Well, I'll tell you what, Mr. Howard, why don't we just do this? Chief, let's just get a meeting in the next week. If you'll just contact my office, and let's sit down and we kind of go through the issues, and we'll address each one of them. Will that work for you, Mr. Howard?
Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Nobody? Okay. Anybody else from the public wish to speak on a general matter? Yeah. Sure, come on. Never late. Mayor Dale McDonald.
Miss Diane. How are you guys? It's good to be here. I wanted to make a quick farewell tour. I'm mayor for 5 more days, not that I'm counting. And we've had such a great relationship with the city of Apopka that, we go back, 6 years of learning together. And so the passion and the foresight and the vision that you guys have demonstrated here for the city of Apopka, we're trying to do in Maitland. And so our next mayor will be John Lowndes Jr. He's taller, better looking, smarter. So the city will be fine. But I wanted to stop in and say hello to you guys. Y'all have been terrific. I know you all. And so it's been a great working relationship, and that's what it really is all about at this level, is relationships and being able to trust people you talk to and seek advice from.
that we're all on the same page, looking for the same things, to do things that impress our grandchildren. So thanks again, appreciate it.
Thank you coming out, Dale.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, we've served on Metro Plan, we've served on League of Mayors, we've served on League of Cities, so. So thank you. Thanks for coming out. All right. With that, got consent agenda, got 2 items there. Anybody need to pull either one of those items? Okay. If not, look for a motion to approve the 2 agenda items on the consent.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Smith,
Second.
second by Commissioner Velasquez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, motion carries unanimously. Okay, next up, final development plan, summer house at Lake Apopka. Who's, Jean?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. Jean Sanchez with the Community Development Department. This is a request to approve the summer house at Lake Apopka Apartments preliminary and final development plan. Please note that this project is subject to the 1993 Land Development Code. The property, a total of about 16 acres, is located east of State Road 451, west of Martin Road, north of State Road 414, and Lot 3 of the Martin Ridge replat. The preliminary final development plan proposes the construction of summer house apartments at Lake Apopka as a gated and private apartment complex comprising of 264 multifamily units. The proposed minimum living area is 750 square feet. The amenities include a pool, clubhouse, and a retention pond is centrally located on site and designed as an open space amenity that includes pedestrian elements such as benches, sidewalk, and a fountain. This site will have a single access point from Martin Road. Right and left turn lanes will be constructed at the site entrance. Additionally, the Land Development Code requires 2 parking spaces per unit, and per code, 528 spaces are required. The development plan includes 416 parking spaces, 112 fewer than required by code. The applicant has submitted a parking demand shared parking analysis, and based on that analysis, Summer House is proposing parking spaces at a rate of 1.58 per unit, which exceeds the average demonstrated demand of 1.5 spaces per unit by 10 parking spaces. Because there is cross-access, the total number of parking spaces available is 960, a rate of 1.79 spaces per unit, which exceeds the parking demand by 156 spaces. The landscape plan shows southern magnolias, live oaks, winged elms, and sycamore trees alternated along Martin Road in the northern boundary, as well as around the central retention pond, and embellish the parking islands. Shown are the proposed architectural elevations of the apartment buildings, which meet the city's development design guidelines. Development Review Committee recommends approval, and on the March 9th, 2021 meeting, the Planning Commission recommended approval. The recommended motion today is to approve the summer house at Lake Apopka preliminary final development plan. Staff and applicant are available for questions.
Okay, any questions for Jean?
My only question would be, I understand the parking spots coming up less than what code demands. Just in terms of the disabled parking, it doesn't cut into that, correct? There's enough sufficient disabled parking on property?
There is enough, yes. Accessible spaces.
Any other questions for Jean? Okay. Go-
Just
sure.
just one question. At the bottom of the transportation impacts, it says, and it also shows all will operate at acceptable level of service with the addition of project traffic, with the exception of Martin Road and Ocoee-Apopka Road. I've only lived here for 40 years.
I'll defer that to our transportation planner.
Yes, that's correct, but we're going to signalize that intersection. Another developer is going to add turn lanes and signalize the intersection. So it's just, a matter of time. That should be happening, probably get it designed this year, maybe it gets constructed in a year or so. So it's taken care of, is the bottom.
Okay, good.
Okay, all right. Did the applicant want to come down? Any other questions? Okay.
Luke Klassen, Appian Engineering, just here to answer any other questions. And yes, that we were going to enter an agreement, but then the other development came along and did the signalization. And to answer your question, Commissioner Becker, we actually have above the ADA requirements on site. So.
Okay, all right, thank you, appreciate it. Okay, anybody from the public wish to speak on this matter?
Rogers Beckett, 7 West Main Street. Just one thing I just kind of want to address and maybe bring to you guys' attention. Currently on Martin, from Koyapopka on up to the new intersection on Martin, there's really no street lights there. So maybe it might be a good time to maybe coordinate with Duke to maybe install some street lights along Martin Road. So we were out there kind of doing a.
On Marsh Road or Martin?
Martin.
Martin, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So there just could be something that we can look at this point in time for the residents.
I didn't hear what he said.
Yeah, so anyway, street lights on Martin.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Pam,
lights.
what, I know when we were looking at,
Streetlights.
or Gene, is it?
Yeah, I think this was done under the 93 code, but we have a list, and we're working with Duke Energy. You know, we are going to get to it.
It's on the list.
It's on the list, yeah.
It's interesting, and thanks for bringing that up. So not to sidetrack too much from the business at hand, but do other cities have it built into their code that requirement? So as developments come online on dark streets like that, we've got a requirement to put in the lighting infrastructure that we would normally have if we did light up a street like that.
We did just pass an ordinance requiring new developments to provide lighting along the frontage of the road. But in our 93 code doesn't require it.
On the new code, is it more decorative like they're using within their subdivisions, or it's typical streetlights that would normally light up an arterial street like that? The latter? Yes. Okay.
Okay,
Thanks.
all right. Okay. Anybody from the public? Anybody else from the public want to speak on this matter? Not? Oh, I'm sorry, go on.
Phyllis Page. I live on Martin Road, or off of Martin Road. I've been there a long time, and I see a lot of changes, and I see the traffic area that, particularly before you, the curved area before you get to Keene Road, that area. Is there a plan for improving the road? Because the apartments are there, Emerson Park is there, and it's a 2-lane road, but they're going mighty fast, speed-wise. I experienced Keene Road, and there is a tremendous amount of traffic on Keene Road now. When you come to Keene Road and Ocoee-Apopka Road, it's dangerous because people are turning left to go toward Ocoee, and they're taking risk. There needs to be something done because somebody's going to get killed there, and it's serious. That whole area needs some serious examination about that traffic. I can't figure out where this is in relation to where the apartments are and such. I'd like to hear a little more about that. But as a person who has experienced the traffic, it's big. Focus on it.
Yes, ma'am.
Phyllis, where this sits is north of, do you know where the Martin Ridge apartments are currently by this new school? This sits north of that location. So this would be more towards the Ocoee-Apopka on the north side.
And I will speak to that other, the road.
You need to come back.
The intersection of Old Apopka Road and Martin Road, where it's, if you continue down the road from Martin Ridge, Meadow Ridge or whatever it is, down like you're going to go right toward Bradshaw. That's another dangerous place because the turn is on a very stiff, steep curve. That whole area needs some serious attention.
Yeah,
Thank
Pam,
you.
do you want to just kind of, because that's, we had a kind of a workshop, a couple of commission meetings
I've been spending a
ago.
lot of time discussing this with Orange County.
Right.
We plan on signalizing Martin Road and Akoya-Popka. I just covered that. Keene and Akoya-Popka, that will be something that will be signalized. We're also, right now, I'll probably at next meeting have more information for you, but it looks like we're going to be able to, sooner as opposed to later, widen that segment of Akoya-Popka Road from Keene to, I think it's called Alston Bay Boulevard, where it already transitions into 2 lanes. Then we're working with the Bronson people to the north. We're laying it out right now to see if we need 4 lanes there, if we need a signal at Boy Scout, which I'm sure we do, a signal at, then Martin, and then maybe at Bradshaw on the way up. So we're looking at how to efficiently get the corridor widened to 4 lanes, at least from Keene to Bradshaw in the near term. The impact fee money that I think y'all probably remember when I came, we're going to collect about $20 million in impact fees. Orange County has relented. Since we're coming with money, they're coming with money too. They're going to fix the stormwater, at least that's the plan now, and we'll help with the road. And it's not going to happen overnight, 5, 6 years maybe to get the whole thing done. But we're having developers fix what they can right now. So look forward to seeing some near-term improvements.
Okay. All right, Phyllis, good? 6 years is a long time. Okay, anybody else from the public wish to speak on this matter? Not, look for a motion, let's see here, to approve the final development plan for the summer house at Lake Apopka Apartments.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Bankson,
Second.
second by Commissioner Velasquez. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next up, final development plan, Martin Ridge Track and Field. Gene?
Again, Jean Sanchez with the Community Development Department. This is a request to approve the Martin Ridge Track and Field Preliminary and Final Development Plan. This is also subject to the 93 Land Development Code. The property is approximately 2 acres and located just north adjacent of the proposed summer house apartments. The Martin Ridge Track and Field Final Development Plan is the recreational component of the proposed summer house apartments. The track and field is gated and is comprised of bleachers, restroom, dumpster facilities. Aluminum fences are placed along the western and eastern perimeter, and retaining walls are located along the northern and southern boundaries. The access to the site is also located on Martin Road, and 21 parking spaces are provided. Landscaping plans meet the Land Development Code requirements. Here are the architectural elevations of the facilities. The DRC recommends approval, and at March 9th meeting, the Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval of the final development plan. The recommended motion is to approve the Martin Ridge Track and Field Preliminary and Final Development Plan. Again, staff and applicant are available for questions.
Any questions for Gene on this one?
Just the fence in between the apartments and the field, it looks like there's a wall all the way, but then access just right at the front, is that correct?
Correct.
Any other questions for Gene? Anybody from the public wish to speak on this matter? Not, we'll close the public hearing and look for a motion to approve the final development plan for the Martin Ridge Track and Field with restroom facility.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Smith,
Second.
second by Commissioner Becker. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, next up, General Electric Road. Richard?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. This is a rail crossing that you approved and it was originally approved on February 20th of 2019. It's been constructed. This agreement puts the cost for future maintenance on the developer with coordination with the railroad, and there's no cost to the city for the maintenance. This is just the final FDOT agreement that needs to have everyone's signature on it.
Okay, any questions for Richard? Anybody from the public wish to speak on this matter? Okay, we'll close the public hearing, look for a motion to approve the stipulation of parties for the ongoing of General Electric Road of the FDOT Railroad Crossing.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Bankson.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Smith. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next up. Jim, this FBO.
FBO, long time coming for this one. Jim Hick, Community Development Director. The airport FBO building, we've had that since its inception back around, I think it was 96, 97. The City Council decided to put this out to bid. We were getting kind of the end of our tenure for managing the operations of the FBO and also the fuel sales, so we did put this out to bid. We ended up having, as part of your packet, we ended up having the building itself, which was 2,800 square feet. We did have it appraised. The appraisal came in at $475,000. It is one piece of property, and we have rights to the location of the tank, the gas tanks in the facilities themselves, which are, make sure this is on here. The FBO building is on this site right here, and then the tanks for the gas are over here, and the pumps are right on the eastern side of the building itself. This is the fuel island. This is again the eastern side. The back side comes out to the parking area here, which is just common parking for the airport itself. Anybody can use that to go into the building itself. So we ended up having 5 bids come in. They all came in on time. A few of them have a little bit of extra information. There was a couple that didn't have much of any information, but they all obviously have the best interest for the airport in mind. And with that, we're just looking for City Council to review and approve one of these so we can process the sales.
Edward, why don't you kind of go back and kind of the money we've spent in the last, just so people realize what a money pit this thing has been. Just so everybody knows, it's.
Yeah, as you know, Mayor, or Council, and some of you may know, and for the public's, we purchased the airport, I don't know the exact date, but we've had it for a while now, and we paid roughly about $750,000 back then when we bought it. We purchased it. We purchased 2 parcels. This one that you see before you is one, and then there's another parcel that sits between 441 and the actual runway. There's a parcel there that can't really be used for much of anything, and it's in a cleanup stage right now that we're working through, trying to do some cleanup there, so that we're working with the state. We've had some help with the state or whatever, but we're still going through testing and stuff on that. So one of the things that over the years, when we bought this, what happened was we took on the fuel portion as well. And the city does not. We do not have the experts, and we don't have airport experts on staff. So we've had the fuel sales, and we've had to do renovations. As you know, you've approved about right at $75,000 worth of renovations to the fuel island because we had an issue. It's been tough. It's been tough for us, not having that expertise. Also with fuel pricing, competing with all of the airports for fuel pricing is very, critical. We tried to do the best we could with the HOA, the people that were there, to try to, give the best price that we could give. But at the end of the day, there's maintenance, big maintenance piece out there. The building has maintenance, the fuel island has maintenance. And so we've struggled over the years, again, and I think a lot of it's just because we don't have the expertise. We don't have staff to run an FBO. We don't have airport maintenance. I will say, and I really want to say this, I think it's important. I want to shout out to our fleet crew. They have worked their butts off for the last several years, trying to keep it up, do the best they can. They've educated themselves. They've taken some training and done a really good job so that we could provide fuel to this point the best we could. But again, at the end of the day, it's an operation that we just do not have the manpower for. We've put a lot of resources into it, keeping it up, and trying to keep the FBO where it's at today. We've had a tenant that's been in there that has helped. Some of that has helped with some of the maintenance and things of that nature. But again, we don't have the expertise here on the staff. And so I think, so that's kind of where we are dollar-wise. And I will tell you that this, we struggled. This fund is struggling, as you know, with the repair and maintenance and everything. It struggled to keep up, but I do think we've done a pretty good job keeping it up to get to this point. So that's kind of where we are with this asset and along the way what we've experienced.
And one of the things that we're going to do, as soon as we get the final approval from DEP that's cleaned up, we've got an arrangement where we're going to swap that land for some additional parking, so they'll have some dedicated parking there on site, so which would help. You know, the homeowners or the association would own that strip, but the FBO would get some of that parking that's there. It's because it's undedicated, and so you'd like to have the FBO to have some dedicated parking for them. But until we've got the clean bill from DEP on that other land, obviously they wouldn't want that. So we're just waiting, we think in the next 6 months maybe.
Yeah, we're hoping. Like I
Yeah.
said, they're still doing all their testing. Until the state gives us a clean bill of health, we are continuing to monitor.
Okay. All right, so I don't know how we, I think everybody's had a chance to meet with some of the bidders. I don't know who all's met. I mean, I know I've met with a couple of them. So I don't, kind of open it up, see what y'all want to do. Anybody want to dive into this one?
Are we going to have presentations
No.
from each one?
I didn't think I thought we could do it without, we're at the point where, so. Sure. Yeah, we'll. Questions?
Public comment.
Okay, so you want to get public comment? All right. Okay, Susan. Yep, got. Yeah, we got. And name and address for the record, and you get 4 minutes.
Thank you very much. My name is Dave Croson. I'm one of the owners out at the airport, and I happen to be on the HOA board there. And our board president couldn't be here today, so the memo that we had from the HOA board that he prepared, I was just going to read it to you, and then I'll leave copies so that you can, it's not really taking positions, just trying to explain things. But so it's a memo to the Honorable Mayor Brian Nelson and the City Commissioners regarding the sale of the FBO building.
Can you just
today.
remove your mask, just because you
Yes.
sound muffled?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
So, dear Honorable Mayor Nelson, we understand that the city will be reviewing bids that it received in conjunction with its planned sale of the FBO-2 property at the airport. Speaking on behalf of the board of the OAAA, Orlando Apopka Airport Association, we'd like to express our gratitude to the city of Apopka for its many years of service to the airport during its time as owner and operator of the FBO-2 building and fuel system. The owners at the airport have always been able to enjoy a dependable and affordable source of fuel during the city's watch. The city has always recognized the contribution that the airport makes to the community, it has supported the needs of the airport, and it has been a good steward of the original vision of the airport. The airport board has had a chance to make a cursory review of the 5 bids that were submitted to the city, and we thought that some points of clarification regarding how the airport is structured might be helpful for the council to consider. And just as an aside, it might be just as much, really, or maybe more for the general public who's not familiar with the airport. So back on the letter. As you know, the Apopka Airport is a privately owned condominium association consisting of 181 separate parcels intended for hangars, including one parcel that is called the FBO-2. The rest of the airport, consisting of the runway, the taxiways, the vehicle parking, green spaces, all other appurtenances, make up the common elements that are owned and controlled by the parcel owners on a collective basis with undivided interest. So therefore, no single owner controls the destiny of the airport. Rather, it is managed and controlled through the Airport Association through its board. Costs for maintaining and improving the common elements are the responsibility of the entire ownership group. As a result, any changes to the runway, taxiways, space allocated for aircraft parking, et cetera, must be agreed to by the owners as a group. Naturally, any modifications must be made in accordance with FAA regulations, such as safety zone requirements, displaced runway thresholds, et cetera, city code requirements, and other authorities having jurisdiction. While the Orlando Apopka Airport is privately owned, the owners have continued to allow the airport to be classified as public use. This provides for certain FAA-related benefits, such as instrument approaches, assurances of tower height clearances, and other similar aviation-related considerations. Sometimes this public use election by the airport group creates some misconception that the airport board receives or may be eligible for funding from federal, state, or other public sources. However, this is not the case, as all costs associated with the maintenance of the airport, including modifications, are borne solely by the 181 owners. Cost for the maintenance of the individual hangars is borne by the individual property owners, and this also applies to the FBO parcel, as we heard a moment ago. Currently, the airport is slightly over 50% built out, and when all hangars are completed, it will likely represent well over $100 million in property value. The airport brings substantial economic benefit to the area resulting from the employment. Also brings substantial benefit to the area resulting from the employment relating to the airport. All of its stakeholders have an interest in seeing the successful completion of the airport development and its continuing prosperity. Therefore, the OAAA board respectfully asks that the city consider a buyer that will be compatible with the long-term vision and interest of the airport and stakeholders.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
We look forward to welcoming the next owner of the FBO property, and thanks again for your past and continued support. I want to leave these copies over
Okay,
here.
perfect.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Hi, my name is Greg Kelso, and my address is 1321 Apopka Airport Road, hangar number 9. Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council members. I'm pleased to begin the introduction of the XO4 United LLC and our simple, reasonable, and achievable plans for success of the Orlando Apopka Airport now and in perpetuity. As you're all aware, the City of Apopka does not own the Orlando Apopka Airport, only 2 lots. The Orlando Apopka Airport is owned by 181 individual entities, including the City of Apopka's ownership of the Fixed Base of Operation, FBO, and the fuel services associated with its deed. Fuel services, much less so the FBO, are the key functions central to the operations of an airport. The operations of the fuel services should be owned and controlled by the owners of the airport. Since municipalities typically own most airports, they also generally own and operate the fuel concessions. Therefore, ideally, the Orlando Apopka Airport Association, made up of 181 individual owners, should own the fuel concession and, to the lesser extent, the FBO. However, it's not legally practical for the Orlando Apopka Airport Association to purchase and own the FBO fuel concession, especially with the time considerations of this bid process and this sale. So, what is the next best thing? The next best thing is XO4 United, LLC, which is currently made up of 24 Orlando Apopka Airport Association owner members, and our willingness to grow and include other members make XO4 the best owners of the fuel concession and the FBO. Only a large organization made up of and representing as many of the diverse interests of the 181 Orlando Apopka Airport owners will ensure the long-term success of the operation. We're currently comprised of 1 current and 6 previous Orlando Apopka Association board members, along with the airport manager. Our charter is simple. In support of our 181 owners, tenants, guests, and the flying public, we are steadfast in our commitment of always having aviation fuel available at a price that is reasonable compared to the Central Florida average. The Orlando Apopka Airport will not continue to grow and thrive, and the city of Apopka will not realize its full tax potential if this goal is not achieved by the operators of the fuel concession. To achieve this goal, the members of the XO4 United have developed and support a pro forma with very thin margins, not a proposal with grandiose, unrealistic plans that would be supported with high fuel profit margins. And finally, XO4 United, we are the Orlando Apopka Airport. And we, XO4 United, have already invested millions of dollars in our airport. And finally, we, XO4 United, are fully committed to the success of our airport now and in perpetuity. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I need to get some clarification on the purpose of the speakers that are coming up, because if they are one of the bidders
Yes.
who are additionally lobbying on behalf of the bid, at this point, I need to advise the council to cease having additional lobbying on the fact, while the city has great discretion pursuant to Florida statutes when it comes to disposal of its property, this is a matter where bids were submitted. There was a deadline for the submittal of the bids, and this becomes additional information outside which may present issues for other bidders. So at this point, if these are bidders who are lobbying for the bid to be accepted, I need to advise the council to stop the presentations in order for fairness for all the bidders.
Okay.
This matter is on an action item. It doesn't necessarily have to be a public hearing as part of the sale. There's no mandate that it be a public hearing. It's a public meeting, which the public can attend. But at this point,
It's closed.
it should be, the matter was closed. The bids were submitted, and there was a deadline to be submitted. This is additional information beyond the bid date. And while this doesn't fall under procurement under the bids, and the city does have discretion, the city set up the rules for what the bids would be. So I would advise council that the matter, this is not, that I would cease
Okay.
taking comments from the bidders at this point.
Okay, all right, thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry.
So do we disclose, I know I had meetings with two of the bidders. Do we disclose that?
I would advise to disclose if you've had previous
Yes.
meetings with the bidders at this point. Again, because this still falls outside of the procurement rules and the city has discretion, I think I would advise that you disclose what bidders you have met with, any ex parte communications
Okay.
with any of the bidders.
Okay.
So which two?
I actually, and from what I understand, when the bids came in, that they were advised if they wanted to speak to the commissioners, they were to reach out to us, which two of them did, and I did spend time with two of them. First one was First Landings Aviation, and the second one was the present XO4 United LLC. And those were the only two that did reach out to us, that reached out to me
Yes.
anyway.
And same for me, I had three reach out, was First Landings Aviation, XO4 United, and D&J Aviation.
Oh, they didn't.
I had XO4 and First Landing.
And I had XO4 and First Landings as well.
Mr. Becker?
Approached by three, First Landing, XO, D&J, met with First Landing, D&J.
Okay.
And also for myself, being a pilot, I know most of these applicants as well, so I'm familiar with all, which makes my job more difficult, but we represent the people of Apopka.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so kind of bring it back. Let's, what's the feeling of the board? Any thoughts you want to present before we make a motion?
Well, I mean, from the meetings that I had with the only two, because I didn't have a third one, and reviewing all their bids, what I learned, it was an education for me, because, you know, all along, I always thought we had some part in the airport, and we don't. We are one of 181. And First Landings is our tenant in the FBO building. Then I sat with Mr. Bob Jackson and Mr. Croson, And that's where I definitely got a lot of my education about the airport, the 181 shareholders, what our part was, how important the FBO and the fuel pump was to them. I walked away much more educated and understand what I feel is, and this is my opinion, is that the shareholders who have invested thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars and have been operating the airport, till even as I sit here right now, how we, the city, owned the heart of the airport. And so for me, I feel that the bid that should be accepted should be XO for United, because they are the shareholders, they own the airport, and they are certainly invested in the airport and the future of the airport. Of course, I spoke to them regarding first landings, and they were on board. They provide an excellent service to the city. They run an excellent school there. I just felt that their tenants and that XO has really said to me that they want to keep them and they want to work with First Landings. They appreciate, they actually welcome the service that they have. So this is my part. As far as the bid is concerned, you have 180 shareholders and they own that airport. And I just feel it's the right thing to do that they own their FBO and the fuel pumps.
Mr. Bankson.
Yeah, well, I think one of the key things, we've got something going on over there. One of the key things that was stated is the long-term vision. I think that's the most important. And again, we do represent these holdings as the city of Apopka for the citizens of Apopka. So what is going to be the best all around? Those who invested their lives and livelihoods. As we make decisions for neighborhoods, we look at those who have invested their lives and livelihoods there. And I want to make sure that those concerns are protected, those long-term concerns. But there's also the long-term advantages to it and to us as a city. Each of them have expressed similar things along these lines. Number one is the FBO services, and I think that's really important because that's our front door as far as a city. When people come by air and many businesses and hopefully more business relationships built there, that's our front door. So it needs to be something that's presentable and something that is inviting. And I think for all of the pilots, that's been an expressed issue all along. And we had worked with, it's a little distracting, but we've worked as we've gone to try and improve those things from our aspect. But I think having a tenant that takes ownership and has that at heart is very important, because that is the representation. But one of the things that really stuck out as I looked at all of the packages is the scholastic opportunities. And that's something that's near and dear to my heart as we see young people. There's a great need and a great opportunity in the aviation field, both for pilots and for mechanics. And right now, as I see that, I see the school really standing out in that aspect because it's a tremendous future. There's already partnership, and this is where I was very impressed with First Landings and what's already been done. I look at many of the visions, but it's like, is this something that there's already work being done on this, or is this something that is vision, but is there a path to make that happen? And that really spoke to me. There's already connection there, scholarships available with Hodges University and direct partnership with Apopka High School, other high schools. This is a huge inroad that will help serve the long-term purpose, because if our community loves aviation as the airport does, then we will protect it as well. Third was job creation, and again, I looked at the different proposals there, and I honestly have to say, First Landings with the Vickers project, this was huge. And I don't know how much you all were able to look into that, but there's a huge potential there. And if I understand it correctly, that's why I was hoping maybe to be able to have everyone present so I could hear everybody's focus on all these things. But if I understand it correctly, we will be the U.S. manufacturer. So it goes beyond what just happens here, but a manufacturing, and there's already letter of intent. So that to me says it's more than just a desire and vision, but there's already a foot in the door and real opportunity. So that weighed heavy for me. Probably the key issue is the fuel, and to make sure that that is kept at an affordable level, but also it has to be sustainable. So whoever gets that bid, they have to be able to operate that in a way that doesn't just serve their self-interest, but serves the whole aviation community and especially the ownership there. So, again, the future benefits to the city, you're very correct there. We have to make sure that we protect the long-term investment of all of the aviators that are there, which I would love to be one day as well. But we have something very unique here in Apopka, and this is an individual ownership. It's not much like that. This is a private-owned airport that has public access. And so that which protects the private ownership, that's got to be paramount. And if I don't hear that and see that, I'm not moved that direction at all. So I see a few different ones. I'll reserve more comment on that, but those are the things that seem to pop out to me.
Okay.
Mr. Smith?
Mayor and to the public, and in addition to having met with XO United and with First Landings, I also need to disclose that I've also had a relationship with the airport, and the fact that I also have a group of young men between the ages of 8 and 18 that we mentor, that we have taken to the airport on several occasions where they have gone up with the pilots and actually flown and been given some demonstrations as to how to maintain aircrafts and in building aircrafts as well. And so over several years, we have visited the airport, and so we have that connection. Both presentations that I was given, both outstanding and both had a lot of merit. As a former educator, I also saw the advantages of what First Landing is doing in the direction they're going. And looking at where we are today, that there's going to be a great need for individuals in that particular industry, whether they be pilots or whether they be aircraft mechanics, to maintain and do what we're doing. But also when we look at XO United and their property owners, they're at the airport, also has a great deal of merit as well. And so I see merit in both proposals.
Mr. Becker?
Yeah, so, I mean, when I approach something like this, you have to understand, you know, what are they trying to accomplish? I think every applicant has come forth with the same kind of guiding principles about what they want to do with the property. They want to have a good, sound FBO location that can service people that come in and out of the airport, and they want to have fuel sales that are competitive, that attracts people to come to that airport. With that said, you know, and again, to Commissioner Smith's point, I think both in-person discussions I had were very good for me in terms of I came away with it being kind of renewed and excited about the potential that our airport does have. And I can respect people that are in ownership positions at the airport, but all the businesses that did put bids, or a few of the businesses that I met, are already there and they're just trying to expand their operations. So it's not like we have new entities coming in that are foreign, it's expansion of existing. And quite honestly, not to discredit other people that I met with, there was one where I was generally excited when I came out of the conversation. And that was First Landings. It was not just their vision for what, you know, the FBO, I think there were some certain improvements that they wanted to do through the FBO office, but it was the certifications that they currently have. It was the educational opportunities that they're able to provide for our residents as well as non-residents to attract people to come to the city of Apopka. And these are jobs that are in high demand and high salary jobs. These are mechanic jobs, these are pilot's license jobs that, you know, pilots going directly into jobs once they get their certification complete. Just the economic benefit of having opportunities like that within Apopka, not to mention, you know, what Commissioner Bankson was saying around some of their partnerships with Vickers, other school options that they have. It just really was a very exciting conversation that I had with them. So again, there was a lot of close conversation. and when reviewing some of the proposals that I saw, but, you know, from a business case perspective, from their articulation of their roadmap, to really what they want to do with their spot within our airport, I thought it was that's where I'm leaning towards.
Yeah. And I'll kind of agree kind of with Commissioner Becker and with Bankson is that the vision that First Landing brought to my meeting was, and it's like, wow, if we can pull off half that we've really got an economic driver, which we've never had. We built hangars out there. We've got, you know, facilities out there, but it's been just a fuel depot is really what it's been. And so I think we have an opportunity with some of the vision that First Landing has and Adam.
Can I make one more comment? And in all fairness, and we talked about, you know, what the FBO needs to look like, right? And I know that D&J, I think, was the only applicant that kind of gave what they envisioned that to be. And so regardless of the decision that's made, I think there's an opportunity, obviously, for some partnership, regardless of who owns it. It's thought partnership that you have all of those vested interests. I mean, heck, to have five bids come to the table for this shows that there's so much compelling interest here. So, you know, I see that there's additional opportunity regardless of who wins the bid today.
Correct. Yes, I would agree with that. Okay, so anything?
Well, just to add, my big concern, I asked the different ones that came in, what are your concerns if you don't get it? And one of the concerns was that the fuel is made accessible and affordable for all. And all of the applicants, when I asked them, are you willing to do those things, all seem to say the same thing. So, you know, of course, you're always going to put your best foot forward when you're trying to make your case, but that's something that's got to be. There has to be a partnership. There has to be a working together because we have people who do have long-term investment. And again, as I talked with, and the same with D&J, they expressed that same willingness and real desire to work with all. Regardless of where this went. We did talk about the concern for the building being able to go up higher and you know, the question of that there is a possibility, they said, with the FAA, but we just don't have any promise of that. And it's something that could happen. They discussed maybe some other areas where that could still happen. So I think having a restaurant there that, you know, that's a really great effort, and we need to continue to encourage that. You know, in the development around the airport. Bottom line, we need to protect the long-term ability for that airport to exist and never be infringed upon. And so I would say to whoever gets this bid, please make sure that you're the best of neighbors, because all the people here, their lives are invested in this. And, you know, as you do that, I think it'll all just really work together, and we can all be proud of what the Apopka Airport is. So I feel like we're handing back to you something and releasing that, but we really trust, I think, all of the applicants that you will do what's best for not just the airport itself, but for the city of Apopka.
Okay. All right, Michael, any last words of wisdom here before we have a motion to pick a bidder?
No, don't need to hear
Good?
anything additional
No.
from me.
Okay.
Well, it seems like the general consensus is for First Landings. And I just want to add that although I was really excited with the plan that they presented, I really had to weigh my decision on the fact that, you know, we have 181 shareholders, and they are just as invested in that airport as First Landings, who happens to be the tenant. And the only assurance that, you know, I would put forth, as all the commissioners and the mayor has said, is that you work together, because each of you are bringing a service that is definitely has made Apopka Airport as profitable for each of you. We seem to be the only ones that didn't make out very well. But, you know, this one share is so important because it's actually going to give you back the power of, you know, the airport. You now have control of the fuel, and you're going to make decisions. So if First Landings gets it, they're now going to be a shareholder, and they're definitely going to bring a lot to the game. If the association gets it, you know, you have to consider the service that First Landings is bringing to the airport. So I just hope that all of you can get together and say, how are we going to make this, how are we going to move forward and make it continue to make it successful.
If I could just say one more thing, my biggest concern would be that if it does go that direction, that it would become only the school focus and that it wouldn't be an inviting FBO. And that's what and you didn't express that to me, but that would be my concern. So it needs to be an FBO sense where everyone walks in, where there is a welcome, because this is our front door. And that would be my only concern. But with all the projection, you know, as we're looking at economic impact, 6 million approximately in the first year, another 3 million in 2022, but in 2023, a possible 28.5 million impact back to the community and the city, which will also go into developing the infrastructure for the aviation community. So that's exciting opportunities, and I'm putting my confidence in your words to me as well, that if that is the will of the council, that it will be something that is not, oh, we have it now, forget everybody else. But it's like, no, we're a community, and it is an inviting feel and opportunity. And I know that you've already done that in that sense, that people have meetings there, but you understand what I'm saying in that sense. It needs to not just be, hey, this is ours, but we'll let you use it kind of thing, to, no, this is an FBO and it's a welcome place. And yet, obviously, you have it for the future education, which I'm very excited about. So.
Yeah, I mean, to expand on that, I mean, it's in everybody's best interest for that to, because again, I overuse this term, but you eat with your eyes first, right? And if your First Landings, if they end up getting the bid, I mean, you're doing classwork, you're doing certification, you're doing mechanic training, you're doing, you know, with their operations that they put in within their bid, they're going to be the sole provider of these Vickers aircraft that people come to pick these things up. So the face of the airport needs to be that FBO. And I mean, I see them nodding their head in the audience, and hopefully that's my expectation, and that's how I looked at it on the stuff that they have within their roadmap.
Mr. Smith, anything?
Well, I was trying to figure if we could set it to both of them and get both prices.
Yeah, that would help pay for all the losses we've had.
But on a serious note, I think that regardless of who get the bid, that they're going to need to be good partners to remain there, and that it's important that fuel costs remains where it's affordable for all the tenants that's at the airport, because if the fuel cost becomes outrageous and becomes the driving mechanism for making a profit, and then you're going to drive all your pilots away, and you're not going to sell them fuel anyway, they're going to go elsewhere, and then we're not going to receive the kind of benefit that we're looking to receive from the airport. So I think it's important that we keep that same handshake agreement as far as pricing of the fuel at the airport as we maintained over the years.
And I would agree with that, and I would just take it one step further, and as Commissioner Bankson talked about the numbers, kind of their economic forecast, we're talking about First Landing, is gas sales, fuel sales are a minor part. That's not even a rounding error of some of the things that they could accomplish if they were to take it on. So I think, why make somebody mad if it's not even it's not a big, so if you double the price of fuel, it's still not going to make a difference in their bottom line. So I think they'd have every reason to be partners with the group, the 181, members out there. So I think it's a good opportunity for us, not only from a educational point of view, but also from an economic point of view. So with that, Commissioner Banks, I'm going to let you make a motion. Since you're the pilot.
Yeah. Well, again, just in respect to all the applicants and many of them friends, I really feel, as we look at the whole, that I would make a motion that we move the First Landings.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Bankson for
Second.
First Landing.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Becker. All those in favor? Aye.
Even though I had said that I wanted the other group, I will go with the general consensus.
So we got a unanimous vote. Thank you. All right, next up, ordinance number 2818.
Okay, First Landing's got it.
Okay, ordinance number 2818, an ordinance of the City of Apopka, Florida, amending the future land use element of the Apopka Comprehensive Plan of the City of Apopka, changing the future land use designation from high-density residential 15 to high-density residential 25 for certain real property generally located in the northwest corner of the intersection of Keene Road and Ocoee-Apopka Road, owned by Francis X. Heydrich Jr. and Kathy Campbell Tolbert, comprising 21.59 acres, more or less, providing for severability and for an effective date.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Bobby Howe, Planning Manager. This item was tabled at the request of the applicant on March 3rd. Staff has had no changes or anything new to report. The applicant is here and they'd like to give a presentation.
Okay, thank you. Tell you what, before he comes forward, let me just go ahead and recognize, we've got the 9th grade class here today from Apopka Christian Academy with the teacher, Miss Melissa Cerrone. Could you stand up, ladies and gentlemen? So thank you, thanks for coming out and being a part of our city commission meeting. Thank you. Just in case it goes long, you can exit whenever whenever your time allows.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm just enlarging it. Get off there. There you go.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, Council. My name is Tad Dixon. I'm the president of First Team Commercial, the applicant. We are here requesting an amendment to the comprehensive plan from HDR 15 to HDR 25. This is something that we pursued this project, having seen the city council approve a change to their comprehensive plan to allow certain parcels within the city limits or to make them eligible for HDR 25. This site uniquely fits a little higher density because a portion of the site, approximately 6 acres, is lake. And the site location here, just for ease of reference, is in close proximity to the 7-story Advent Health Hospital up against the 429 with a future grocery anchored shopping center planned on the other side of Ocoee-Apopka Road. Despite having a little higher density, we are maintaining no more than 4-story building height, which is customary in the city of Apopka, including the Martin Ridge project that was approved earlier today. So when we came before council last time, we noted 2 concerns of council. One was the road, which we heard raised earlier in today's meeting, and also the schools. With respect to the roads, I want to assure the council that we are committed to working with the city to widen Ocoee-Apopka Road in cooperation with the shopping center developer that is, in their full engineering, working on their engineering drawings now, and will be coming into the city for that. We've been in dialogue with Pam about that. We understand that the county is talking to the city about possibly 4 lanes instead of 3 lanes. We are willing to cooperate with the city on making that happen. In addition, we understand from Pam that this project's going to help fund a traffic signal at Keene Road and at Harmon Road. We are in agreement with that. This project, we are at the comprehensive plan stage of the project, so we will come back before this council for a PD hearing, two PD hearings, and then a major development plan hearing. So there'll be lots of opportunities for us to talk to you about project specifics. And I expect that you probably won't formally adopt the comprehensive plan amendment until you're satisfied with the PD, and we're okay with that. So what we're trying to do is get the city council to approve the concept of the project for the purposes of the growth management plan so they can be transmitted to the state. And then we plan to, and actually prior to the last public hearing, had already submitted a PD application, and we want to move forward with that quickly. So we hope to be in front of you in another 45 days, 60 days, with a specific plan where we can talk about specifics. here's that, just a reference to the policy that was adopted last May. And then with respect to schools, this project passed capacity analysis for middle and high school. Elementary, we show, this analysis shows that we are 30 seats short. What I wanted to point out, you'll see I just popped a little blue arrow up there on the table. The current utilization of Wheatley Elementary is 74%. So what's causing the school to trip capacity is, so there's 203 available seats. What's causing the school to show as overcapacity is encumbered capacity, where developers have come in and paid a fee to reserve capacity. And in our case, there's 5 schools reserving capacity in Wheatley Elementary. 5 projects, excuse me. You have Summer House at Lake Apopka, which you all just approved, residences at Emerson Park, Oak Point, and Oak Point North. You also have Sentosa East Shore, which is holding 49.47 seats. Upon further research, this is the same site where there's a grocery anchor shopping center coming in to the city for construction. So that, and in fact, upon further research, we learned the developer that holds that capacity encumbrance letter is no longer in control of the property. So that deal failed for whatever reason, and this capacity encumbrance letter continues. And some of that's because of state statutes and whatnot, developers can get extensions of these letters at no cost to them. And I think there was quite a few allowed in connection with COVID. So if you take that into consideration, there actually is capacity for our project as it stands today. As we go through and we have to go and get concurrency in connection with our actual development plan, that's when the school board will take a closer look at surrounding zones and will give us the opportunity to reserve capacity for our project. So at this stage, it's just this whole capacity analysis is just to give you all an idea of where seats sit today. We can't act on it until we get further in the process. But the analysis shows that we're short seats. If you take into account this Sentosa East Shore project, which is no longer an active project, there are seats. And then in addition, as you know, we will be paying school impact fees, which will bring the school board more than $2 million in impact fees. And those will be paid years before the units are actually constructed. I talked to Orange County School, a representative of the Orange County School Board about this project and building schools, and I said, at what point do you build a new school? Because I know that's a concern. She says they won't build a school until there's enough overcrowding to fill a new school. They don't want to build a new school when it's at 110%. They want to rezone things and make sure as soon as they build a new school, they can fill it up. And so I would also suggest to you that allowing our project to move forward helps add, gets the city closer to adding more schools in the city limits that'll serve the residents well. And I wanted to add, in the event that there was any concern about the quality of the project or the credentials of the developer, we are partnered with Jefferson Apartment Group, who's headquartered out of Washington, D.C., and built many, many nice luxury projects. They are finishing a project in Castleberry right now off Red Bug Lake Road. It's called Jefferson Lake Howe. It's a very pretty project. We think it's a project that we'd like to see modeled on our project here in Apopka because of our lake frontage. And so we, just as you can see in this photo with the pool and the clubhouse oriented towards the lake, we would like to capitalize on the natural amenities that our site has by doing the same. We're also really excited about the Apopka Lake Trail and the proximity to it, and would plan to market that as an amenity for the property. We think this project's location to the hospital will serve the hospital well, and it'll serve the residents well with the shopping center that's coming forward and access to the different expressways. So we're really excited about the project. We know there's a lot of questions still to be answered, and we will give you all the answers. this is just the first step. We're hoping we can transmit and then come back and see you with a much more detailed set of plans.
Any questions for the applicant?
Mine's more, I don't know if it's applicant related or staff related at this point. So I can, obviously, we didn't have this presentation the first time, y'all, so thank you for putting together a more formal presentation. This is helpful. I get behind the school capacity issue. I mean, on both fronts, it's kind of perverse incentive, right? You have to get to a certain overcapacity to build a new school. You've got to get to a certain density level to build a new street or expand a street, which is, I mean, everybody watching, probably sitting in this room, it makes it's counterintuitive to reasonable thought. But in terms of the roadway, I know that you said that in terms of the PD, that there might be language around the widening of Akoya-Popka and then potential signalization with Keene Road and Akoya-Popka, both things that Ms. Page talked to when she got up and spoke before. How do we get reassurances that that's going to get accelerated for this project versus you all just pay the normal impact fees and it gets scheduled in the normal course of us doing our thing? Like, where are the assurances that the road will be widened and signalization will occur? Because if you're basing that on the fact that the shopping center comes in, Publix, whoever that might be, you would work in concert. We don't understand the timing of that. That hasn't come before us as a business yet. So,
Jim, you want to come forward, or Pam? And the agreement, what Commissioner Becker, you want to make sure that, that it actually gets done if we're going to, where will that be in the process?
It'll be in the front because the signal that we've discussed them actually doing the work. They will design it and install it for impact fee credits, and they can't go forward until they pay their impact fee credits. So we'll have to see something from them before they could get a CO for anything, which means either we're going to have the design and a bond in place that says that they're going to install it. The signal, it takes 4 to 6 months, maybe a little longer to design. And then, as y'all know, the mast arms that would go in there, that could take, to get everything wrapped up, another year. I mean, mast arms, for whatever reason, come from one place and they take a year to get.
So, but as far as road widening as well, what?
Oh, that is a project that's going to have to be done, like he mentioned, in conjunction with the project across the street. And this all has to be agreed to and signed and sealed before they can go forward. This is, you're going to have something in front of you that before they would ever get a CO, they're just going to have to do it. They're going to pay impact fees, and if for some reason they change their mind, they will pay their proportionate share. And that also has to be paid in advance.
So I want to be really clear because the details matter on this one. So they say in partnership with the development across the street. So I'm just playing this one out. This applicant gets what they want in terms of density. That developer decides, you know what, I have no interest in coming here any longer. Yes, the applicant has paid impact fees, whatever the case might be. Akoya-Popka stays the same condition that it's in today, and there's no signalization at Keene. Yet the applicant has the density that they so require, and then we're coming back and saying, hey, well, wait a second. This was our expectation. We approved this density, but now I'm going to come back to you and say, well, why isn't this road widened? Or why don't we have the signal at Keene? I just want assurances that what I'm being told actually comes to fruition in an accelerated fashion. Because and correct me if I'm hearing it wrong. What I'm hearing is that in concert with them developing this complex, at the same time, there's 4-laning of Akoya-Popka north of Keene Road, and then in concert with the developer of the shopping plaza, there would be signalization.
I would be better able to answer that question tomorrow after we have the meeting with the other developer. Maybe I'm too optimistic. I choose to think that we're putting everything in place to make sure this happens. I can't stand here and tell you that something catastrophic might happen that turns the plan upside down. But if we do everything the way we're supposed to, which is to get the agreements in place and tie their development to these roadway improvements, we've been successful in doing this before. I really don't see a reason why.
So,
And I'll just close out my comment. I mean, you know where my head's at, right? I was
do.
against kind of the density thing to begin with. But again, I can respect someone coming to say, hey, I want to go up to 25, if it means we get accelerated benefit to the city. If I can secure that acceleration of road, widening the road because it becomes a more safer road, and we can get signalization at Keene and Akoya-Popka through this venture, and it's in black and white text so that we can all point to it and say, this is what we approved, you can win me over. But if I can't get that assurance, then it's, let's just move on and I'll yield.
so the question, I mean, Jim, is, so we've got to send it to Tallahassee, so we've got 45 days for Pam to work her magic on the property across the street. So we've got time before, we've given them the green light to build this project.
Correct, yeah. It does give us a little bit of breathing room. In addition, this project, because of the nature of the way we did the potential increase up to 25 dwelling units per acre, as Tad mentioned, it is required to do an actual PD, plan development, which we can put in a lot of stipulations and requirements as part of that approval. We do have time, lots of time before that process starts, and that will also give us a little bit more time to talk to the property owners to the east.
So give us kind of just so everybody knows, including the public, kind of what's the timeline to get to where it's, we're on the hook at that point.
Well, with the transmittal, basically if you approve the transmittal, we would send that up to Tallahassee within the next 2 weeks. They've got a 30-day review period. That comes back. We have to adopt that or make action within 180 days. So we're looking at half a year right there. Usually we try to get these things done a little bit faster, but in between that timeline, again, we'll be working on the development itself. He's got some pictures here that we hadn't seen yet, so we get a little bit better feel for what the product could occur on the site itself. The plan development itself, that's going to take probably, I'm guessing, 4 to 6 months or so to process. And during that time, that's where we put the site plan together. Overall, the whole development could start within about a year. And during that timeline, of course, we're also going to be working with the property owner to the east, which we've seen about 3 different sets of plans. The latest just came in yesterday, and we are meeting with them tomorrow to talk about those plans. And like was mentioned, it's a grocer and a few out parcels. But so we've got at least 2 property owners across the street from each other that are willing to work with us in regards to the Akoya-Popka and the intersection. Now, Akoya-Popka, as you know, is a county road, so there's going to be some I wouldn't say pushback.
That's the other thing we've got to work with is
But
county.
we don't even know what they're going to end up requiring or playing a part of. So
So bottom line, we've probably got 6 months.
6 months to 8 months or so.
Before we're game on, so.
Correct.
Okay.
So let me ask you a question. With 15 units per acre, how many apartments were they originally?
Oh, gosh, do you happen to know 15 units per acre? 222.
With 25?
371, thank you.
Can I ask why the increase of 10 more and not a halfway point?
I'll let Jim, no, Jim, you need to take that one.
Well,
Yes, it's the
Well, it depends on the property owner or the developer, what they can do to make it work money-wise.
Well, talk about the whole, because she wasn't on the commission.
Oh,
when we
regarding the
approved.
density itself,
Yeah.
we had four areas that we had in Apopka that we were looking to increase the density up to 25 dwelling units based on where it was located and we thought the boom would occur. The first one was already done with the form-based code area. The second one was over at the city center. We had an applicant that was interested in doing 25 dwelling units per acre. We did have an outcry from the developer, from the neighborhood. Of course, this is again east side of downtown that basically said, no, we don't want 25 units per acre, 5-story buildings on on that type of a product. So the other couple that we ended up having was this particular area on the east side of the 429, and then the other section we also had was, I call it the bowl, but the Bronson property that was south of Boy Scout Road. So those are the areas that we felt could withstand an increase of up to the 25 dwelling units per acre.
And the Bronson property, are they doing 25?
No. The
So the-
proposal right now is not to go towards 25
So the only property that's going with 25 is this property?
at this stage.
Well, but the 429, what's he call it, Floridian Center will.
The Floridian Town Center, that one, I don't have the full figure yet for that one, but my understanding is they aren't going to the full 25 either.
Not going to the full, but they're going above the 50.
They're going to probably pop it a little bit over 15.
So the question is, I know it's going to go through this process, but if we find, or if it comes back that it doesn't work for 25 per acre, or through the PD part, can we reduce that, the units?
If it's
Is
already,
is there an opportunity to say less than 25 for
if
us?
the land use is your big motivator in regards to what the density can be. If it's approved at 25 dwelling units per acre, then the people would have the right to come in and develop it at up to 25 dwelling units per acre. The PD, of course, we can always put stipulations, requirements on that, but again, they have the right at that point
To do 25?
to do 25, yep.
That's a big increase in the apartment or dwellings. Go ahead.
So our plan is to come forward with about 310 units, which is about midpoint. The reason we're going to HDR 25 is that's the next higher land use available under your code.
Right.
So if, at 310 units, we're at 18.9 units per gross acre and, 18.9 units per upland acre, 14.5 units per gross acre.
Okay.
So we're not trying to max it out at 370. And again, as I said in my presentation, we're very comfortable with the city council waiting to formally adopt the land use until you have a PD you're satisfied with. So if they get approved together, then you know that you've locked in that density.
Yeah, and I forgot to disclose, we did meet.
Yes,
We
ma'am.
did meet, and I did have a lot of questions, and these are just additional questions that I had. Okay, so at this point, what are we saying yes to? Let me ask the staff. If we say yes or no, what are we saying yes to?
The approval to transmit to
To the
Department of
Tallahassee.
Economic Opportunity for their review.
Okay. And then they'll send back their recommendations.
Correct.
So we just need to get past this stage here.
Yes.
To get a little more formal
Okay.
plan on what it would look like.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry, I needed to do a little housekeeping. I had ex parte communications with the applicant too, after our last meeting, prior to this one.
Yeah.
I did too.
Yep. I did.
Oh,
All
you
of us.
did?
Okay, so all of us, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so we all did.
But I guess
That's-
my question
that's
is,
fine.
for 2 years, I've been talking about 4-laning of Popco Court Road. And so I like the idea that they're willing to assist us in doing that. But just as he indicated earlier that a previous property owner that had reserved some space there to develop has now backed out of the deal or whatever. So what happens if now this developer that's going to be his neighbor backs out, that's going to be doing this project together, and we don't end up with the 4-lane, the traffic signal? I mean, what, I guess like Commissioner Becker said, what assurance do we have if the other property owner doesn't come through that this is actually going to happen?
Again, that ends up going in with the plan development itself. We can put different stipulations that if such and such doesn't occur, then this person is responsible for it. Again, the big item is Orange County as to how cooperative they are going to be with the Cohea-Popka Road.
Yeah, because one of the things I know, Pam, we're working on is that the road is substandard and that we don't have any stormwater, which should have been Orange County's problem.
Right.
So now that we're looking at those road improvements, we want to go to the county and say, okay, we'll take the road over, but, here's the things that aren't up to standards.
That you need to do before.
You need to help us, but let's do it once, do it right.
Okay.
Versus, coming back and having to piecemeal it. So, it's a whole lot cheaper to do it right the first time.
And that's kind of what Orange County said too. Now that they know that we're serious, we're coming with money. We've committed all of our impact fee money from this area to that project. They want what they want to, and they're going to participate. I know what y'all were all told, and it's been a struggle to get them to change their mind, but we have full staff support, and we're working through some things. They get that it needs to be done, and so it will.
Okay, and can I get a copy of the chart that you showed with the projects and spending? You just played, okay.
I've got that on the PowerPoint, so, which
Just share
So
it with
I didn't
everybody.
see it in the packet.
I can share that on the from the PowerPoint.
Okay.
That was this slide.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So I'll make a copy and email that to each of you.
Thank you. Okay.
And, can I go?
Sure.
Yeah, to me, the long game is the road, and that's what we're all after, and that was the thing. The thing that moved the needle for me was Pam's presentation last time that I saw. This is a key point. This gets us in field goal range. And as you said, this is now bringing the other players to the table. To me, if we don't, this is another time where we turn the ball back over and have to wait for the next time around. And it's making that road further off. My big concern was the school issue, and you did address that. Again, that's that shell game, and it is frustrating, but I understand the other side of that because of fiscal responsibilities. They can't build schools that are empty either. So we're just caught in that. There's nothing more we can do there. My one question is, we've talked about, and we really don't have a clear understanding of what produces enough revenue that it covers the level of service. How does that affect us when there's multi-unit? Because if we have individual homes, again, we've asked if you can come up $150,000 or a $200,000 home now covers the level of service. We don't know how to get to that number. How is that when it comes to multi-unit homes or multi-unit complexes?
We don't have numbers for anything, and that's one of the things I keep asking the League of Cities is to come up with some numbers
Yeah,
that we can.
is it harder to cover the level of service because there's more in a smaller place? Or is it, do we have a better?
May I address that? Rebecca Wilson, 215 North Eola Drive with Lowndes. I happen to have the pleasure of representing several multifamily developers, and when we look at the ad valorem taxes that go to the municipalities, when you have a multifamily development like this, it is taxed on as a commercial development. So unlike when you do a subdivision and those homes are then homesteaded and their taxes are limited, our good friend, the property appraisers, both past and present, not only do we not get any kind of homestead coverage, but they look at the rental rates, and that is how we are taxed, is on the, I'm gonna forget what it's called, but it's like a market rate method. So you do end up getting a lot more taxes in the services that you have to cover in those instances.
But we get taxes, but that's not impact fees, which would be for the new construction. So, difference, yes, I would agree, the homestead exemptions have made a big impact on us.
Well, and then you're also correct that unlike if you're doing a subdivision, the per unit number, since we're paying transportation impact fees on this, smaller, 16 acres of developable land, but if we're building 310 units on that, you are getting a much higher amount in impact fees. And that's what all of your studies have been based on. And certainly the school board just did the same thing. They just raised those school impact fees to make sure we're covering that difference.
So that does somewhat answer that question. So there is a better benefit there, but again, it's a toss-up. And the last comment is the quality of the product, and I did get to meet with the group as well, and that was one of the things that, again, it's in the area where we're seeing our the hospital come in. We're expecting more business that will support that. This can be housing for those professionals as well. And so I really think it moves the needle for me, knowing that that's getting us closer to getting that road, and we all need that. Again, Commissioner Smith, that's been something you've been calling for, and I think it moves us closer.
Yeah, the one thing, I don't want to throw a monkey wrench into this, but, you know, one of the things we, over the next, 2 years, if Wheatley doesn't make progress on their school grades,
Yeah, I've had that discussion too.
so, I don't know what that,
Yeah.
let's
We-
hope
we-
we don't.
We're working on it.
Yeah, well, I'm there to help you if I can, because that's one of the things, they've had, I think, 2 more years. I guess they got 1 year reprieve last year because of
Right.
COVID, but.
But this year's dropped dead.
Right, so one of the things that we're talking about is, if Wheatley doesn't get their school grades up, then they're immediately
Become a charter school.
become a charter school. So, I don't know what that, how that affects any of
Capacity
that.
issues, and yeah.
Yeah, but good.
One of the things, this slide that's up with the Sentosa East Shore that has the reserve of the 49 seats, basically, they were showing that they were short 30 seats. So that this would do that. The only problem is that when this comes back from DEO for review, Orange County Public Schools could come here and object because it's still going to show that it's over capacity. They have this on the books. They might say, we don't agree, because it still is on the books.
But this won't, we
So-
can still look at that, when it comes back. We still
Correct.
got, they'll then make their comments based on that,
Yep.
so, yeah.
Yep.
The other question I had for you, and I think I did ask you, and I don't remember the answer. Is this the last area with the density capacity of 25 per acre? Is this the last area that we're going?
We've got
to
2 other
consider
areas. We got 2 other areas that are available, but we don't have any plans. Well, the one, hold on, for Floridian Town Center, do you remember what the density is? Yeah, it's just, it's about 15 or so for that, but.
Say that again?
It's about 15 units per acre for the Floridian Town Center. That's the one at the 429, 441, and then the other one is the Bronson property off south of.
Okay, so, I'm just, for me, my concern is if we keep allowing these 25 per acre, it's the level, he spoke to the level of service. I'm thinking of, how do we provide the quality of service, and I'm talking the 3 basic things that have made us who we are, which is police, fire, and garbage.
They do pay into it. For each unit, they pay the same amount that,
Yeah, but then I guess we need to kind of,
We'd have to-
that's on our staff, is
Yeah.
to really increase
Right.
our staff in order to meet that level of service.
Yep.
Okay, but I wasn't here when they approved that 15 to 25. I'm not crazy about 25, but it's there. And
There's a lot of
they're
cities that do have
utilizing it.
25 and even 50 units per acre. It just depends on where it is. And usually it is in areas that are served by the connectivity that we've got in this area with the 429, 441, 451.
Well, I would say this, when services going forward, that without a doubt, commercial, and this is commercial properties, they've mentioned, pays more than its fair share.
Mhm.
Single-family home is where we may or may not make money. So if you're looking at just the garbage and the recreation and the police and the fire, this will do more to help fund our budget than will.
In single-family.
Single-family homes. So just so that's pretty clear.
Well, I know, but that's my concern too, that, you have to look at the whole picture. For
Then-
me, it's always the level of service, and, the past few budgets, we haven't increased our staff, but we seem to have increased homes. And so, we're doing this, but our staff is down here. So I have to consider that also when I'm approving, developments and multi-dwellings, is what are we doing to bring this so that we can continue to provide that level of service?
The other thing
So
that
that's
works.
my concern.
Yeah, the other thing that works good for the property across the street is that these developers that come in and do grocery stores and larger developments for commercial, they do look at what's going in around the area. And if they see that there's an apartment complex on the north, south, east, west, wherever it is, but it's closer located along with some of the single-family developments that are occurring, like along Binion Road. They look at those, and it does excel their needs to develop. That's the same thing that happened with the Publix up on Kelly Park. Even though they knew that there wasn't really anything when they started the process, they were originally telling us 5, 6, 7, 8 years down the line, and of course, within 2.5 years or so, when they first started talking to us, we've got a Publix going up. So it does excel them.
Okay.
What is it going to take to get that project off of the books if they're no longer in control of the property?
For the one on the north, or on the east side?
Sentosa.
Yes, Sentosa.
Well, we'll know a little bit more when we meet with them tomorrow, because it's part of the overall development is the commercial portion, and then we'll see how much interest or whether or not they've got anything else that's actually going on that north side. They got the density or the seats, but we don't have any site plans or anything for it.
Any other questions? Okay.
Just one more. I know I sound like I keep asking questions. You said the school may come in and say they don't approve if they're over capacity.
Correct.
So where does that leave us and the?
At a very precocious meeting.
Okay.
That's one of those things that you have to take that into consideration when you do the approvals as to whether or not there's another development that needs or is going to be using those 30 seats that this group needs.
Okay.
Yeah, on that front, I think it's, and we saw that with the Hamrick property discussion too, right? They came out and spoke aggressively against the action that we were taking, but we made a common sense approach absent the safeguards that we typically had in place prior to that Senate bill. Same thing here. I mean, obviously, we could look at that, and at that particular meeting, you would have the insights that you're going to have from tomorrow, whether or not that's truly going to encumber truly
Correct.
49 seats. So the school side of it, I think we can work through that discussion. My concern always is kind of residing in this whole road widening effort, and because again, we're in concert with a whole bunch of things at play: city, county, other developer, this development.
A lot of comments.
I need assurances.
Yeah.
So.
And if I'm not mistaken, this is based on the full 25 per acre.
Yeah, we have to
And
go
they've already
that.
said they're not planning on doing that many, so the numbers there will already go down a bit, so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Anybody from the public wish to speak on this matter? If not, I'll look for a motion to approve ordinance number 2818 at first reading and hold over for a second reading and adoption.
So moved.
I will second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Bankson, second by Commissioner Velasquez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Motion. We've got one no. Commissioner.
I'm a less no than before, but I need that assurance when we come back for the
A
next piece of
lukewarm no.
business. Yeah.
All right, so,
Okay, so it was 4-1.
okay.
Okay, thank you.
Members of the council, what I was trying to interject, and just a reminder.
sorry.
Comprehensive plan amendments are legislative decisions, so it's actually okay for members of the public and the applicants to speak to you. You do not have to disclose that you've spoken to them. It's understood in a legislative decision that you will be speaking to constituents. Only in quasi-judicial, which would be rezonings, you'd have to disclose. But as we're coming up on other comp plan amendments, you don't have to disclose that you've spoken. It's understood that you will speak to folks when it comes to legislative decisions.
So I'll revise my comment and just tell the applicant, thank you for meeting with me from the last meeting.
Yep, thank you.
All right, Susan?
Okay. Ordinance number 2819. An ordinance of the City of Apopka, Florida, amending the future land use element of the Apopka Comprehensive Plan of the City of Apopka, changing the future land use designation from county rural to city low-density residential for certain real property located north of Boy Scout Road and east of South Binion Road, comprising 9.487 acres, more or less, and owned by Apopka Centerline Development, LLC, providing for severability and for an effective date.
Good afternoon, Allison Williams, Planner 1 with the City's Planning Division. Today, the applicant is requesting a small-scale future land use amendment to change the future land use designation from county rural to city low-density residential. The subject property is located at 1879 Boy Scout Road. It was annexed into the city limits on January 20th, 2021. It is a part of a larger planned development that is currently under staff review. An OCPS has indicated the capacity for the proposed development is not available at the elementary and high school levels and is deficient at 4.5 seats at Apopka Elementary and 3.1 seats at Apopka High. DRC recommends approval, staff recommends approval, and staff and the applicant are here to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, any questions for Allison?
So this is a broader, and sorry to detract real quick. It's a broader kind of, so in the last piece of business, right, we had some reasoning and insight around the school capacity issue. And then prior to the Senate bill from last year, we had those enhancement agreements that kind of gave us the safeguards and the guardrails by which we operate in. So now we start seeing these things that are true. Like, it makes sense what we're trying to do from a future land use perspective, but is 4 bad is 4 good? Is 20 bad is 20 good? Like, how do we approach it? I mean, is there a staff perspective on how we should think about this thing in a responsible manner?
Good questions. Staff is looking at these as more what we would consider de minimis. One of the issues that occurred back about a month ago, I had a Zoom call with the county, Chris Testerman, and a few other cities, and because we don't have an interlocal agreement, they are attempting to put together, which we haven't seen for the last 6 months, a new agreement that allows for them to do a joint review if a school or capacity issue affects both the city and then a local, another jurisdiction, whether it's the county or a COE or any other jurisdiction. So with that joint review, there should be, and this is one of my battle cries to the county, is that there has to be an amount of capacity that is de minimis. In other words, if it's 4 or 5 seats, it's not going to matter that much, especially when they get to the concurrency payment stage where they actually pay for those seats that they're affecting. That's the same thing with this one right now. This will allow us to do that density, but they still have to pay into the system to pay for those seats that are over capacity. These are minor ones. It's like 3, 4, 5 seats. It's not a big one. When you get into the 30, 40, 50, obviously you need more. Then they still have to pay into it, but it's a little bit harder to recoup and to pay into because they're talking $100,000 or well more than that. But we're looking at this one as more of a de minimis type of operation for the capacity itself. It's not a huge amount, but what we're hoping and what I'm hoping is that if the agreement that is being proposed to us, and again we haven't seen anything, does not have a de minimis factor into it. Again, this is what I've been harping on the county and OCPS to do, is to have a de minimis, and otherwise it's not going to work for the city, and I would never ever recommend the city council signing off on something if it doesn't work for us at all.
Yeah, it's interesting because, to the credit of the prior applicant, I thought that was a good piece of insight for them to bring to the table. Hey, yeah, there's encumbered 49 seats on a piece of development that's likely not going to go full residential and actually consume all of those 49 seats. So having insight there to say, okay, there's some developments in the city that are consuming or encumbering seats, but at the same time, they've been online for a year or two. They're not really in any sort of stage where it should be of great concern to us. And of course, there's the compounding effect of de minimis numbers turn into numbers that are higher that when you compound more and more on that piece of business. So it's a timing issue too. So I just want to make sure that we're thinking about it, and hopefully staff has some sort of perspective on how we should look at it.
Another way to look at it is that whenever you have, say, 5 dwelling units per acre, which is the area on the north side of Boy Scout Road, as soon as you put in the retention ponds and the roads and things, it never gets developed at 5 units per acre. It's usually about 3.5, 3.75 or so. So there's already a cushion that's built into this thing, even though we're going to 5 units per acre. It's not going to go 5 units per acre. It's kind of like you were mentioning. It's the same as the past presentation. You're not utilizing all of those units no matter what you do.
Yeah, a couple of things. One is that, this de minimis thing, when you got jurisdictional, it's just crazy. So if you put something in the right spot, you could have Orange County, Ocoee, and Apopka having all to approve the same development. But one of the things you might want to do, Jim, to send to the council, I don't know if they've seen it. Everybody's seen the impact fee changes for the schools?
Oh, the latest ordinance?
Yeah.
I'll send that to
Yeah,
everybody, too.
because it was interesting, I mean, they went up about 50%, so
Yeah.
there should be more money for school building. But what was interesting, the thing that just kind of struck me as kind of strange is that when you got above, I want to say 4,000 square foot house, the rate went down.
Yep.
Don't tell me how that happened. So they had tiered now, because used to be it was just a flat per single family home. Now it's tiered by square footage. It goes up until you get to the top tier and it goes down. It makes absolutely no sense to me, but that's
Yeah,
what it
that
is.
was an odd one. I've had a couple conversations with some of the other directors in the area, and they kind of said the same thing. Why did they tier it like that?
Unless over 4,000 square feet, typically you see a decline in the average number of students per household.
Yeah.
That could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows? Weird.
Yeah. So anyway, okay.
Hope that gives more perspective in regards to the dwelling units per acre, so.
And the question I have along those lines too is why, on the attachment from Orange County, they have two scenarios. One is with Apopka Elementary and Apopka High both failing, but then the next page, it has it Wheatley and Wekiva. I mean, do they have the opportunity to send them different places? Is that, or it's?
Yeah, Commissioner, the school zones actually bisect the property, so
Okay.
that's why that's in there.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Erica Hughes with VHB 225 East Robinson Street, Orlando, Florida 32801. Just wanted to confirm with staff's recommendation. They've been great to work with, and to echo a little bit of what Allison presented, we're basically a donut hole and surrounded by a City of Apopka property. We have residential low surrounding us by the same property owner on the north side of Boy Scout, and then we have the mixed-use designation just south of us, also owned by the same owner. So we're just trying to bring the future land use to be consistent with the zoning. We are processing a PD application for over 366 acres with staff right now. That would include a transportation study that we are working with PAMS, because we do understand the deficiencies in the area with Boy Scout and Koya-Popka Road. So we are committed to helping the city rectify that, and we're available for any questions. Thank you.
Okay, any questions? Okay. All right, anybody from the public wish to speak on this matter? If not, we'll close the public hearing and look for a motion to approve ordinance number 2819 at first reading and hold over for a second reading and adoption.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Smith,
Second.
second by Commissioner Becker. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next up, ordinance number 2820.
Ordinance number 2820. An ordinance of the City of Apopka, Florida, changing the zoning from RSF 1A, Single Family Estate District, to RCE, Residential Country Estate District, for certain real property located south of East Welch Road and west of Usler Road, comprising 4.4 acres more or less, and owned by Richard G. Harwood Jr., providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Commissioners. Phil Martinez, Planner 2 with the City's Planning Division. The applicant is proposing a rezoning from RSF 1A, Residential Single Family Estate District, to RCE, Residential Country Estate District, for approximately 4.4 acres. The subject property is highlighted in yellow and located south of Welch Road and west of Usler Road. In the surrounding area are single-family homes and nurseries, including, in addition to the Parkview Wekiva subdivision to the north. The property is zoned RSF 1A with RCE zoning within the vicinity. The subject property has residential low suburban future land use, which is compatible with the proposed RCE zoning. And the Development Review Committee and Planning Commission recommend approval of the proposed rezoning to RCE, Residential Country Estate District. And the recommended action for this afternoon is to accept the first reading of ordinance number 2820 and hold it over for second reading and adoption on April 21st, 2021. This concludes my presentation, and the applicant and I would be happy to address any questions that you may have.
Any questions for Phil? Okay. Anybody from the public wish to speak on this matter? Not, we'll look to close the public hearing and look for a motion to approve ordinance number 2820 at first reading and hold over for a second reading and adoption.
So moved.
So
Got a
moved.
motion by Commissioner Becker, a second by Commissioner Velasquez. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries unanimously. Next up, ordinance number 2822.
Ordinance number 2822, an ordinance of the City of Apopka, Florida, amending the future land use element of the Apopka Comprehensive Plan of the City of Apopka, changing the future land use designation from transitional to mixed-use interchange for certain real property generally located on east of State Road 429 and west of Plymouth Sorrento Road, owned by Klepsig Family Trust, Klepsig Dennis R. Life Estate, and Klepsig Joanne Life Estate, comprising 30.81 acres more or less, providing for severability and for an effective date.
Again, Jean Sanchez with the Community Development Department. This is a request to amend the future land use of 4140 Plymouth Sorrento Road and 2 other associated properties owned by the Klepsig family. Properties are located east of State Road 429, west of Plymouth Sorrento Road, and south of Joey McGuckin Road. It's a total of approximately 30.8 acres. Property is also located within the 1-mile radius of State Road 429 and Kelly Park Road. Policy 20.2 of the city's comprehensive plan, a site or any portion of a site within the 1-mile radius of the interchange is subject to the Kelly Park Interchange Form-Based Code standards. The existing future land use of the properties is future land use in progress, which indicates that at the time the properties were annexed into the city, no future land use designation was applied. The proposed mixed-use future land use permits up to 5 dwelling units per acre and up to 0.5 floor area ratio. In order to support the KPI mixed-use zoning with neighborhood overlay district to meet the form-based code, the applicant is requesting to amend the future land use to mixed use. The existing zoning designation is transitional. The applicant has also submitted a zoning amendment application accompanied by a master plan to meet the form-based code rezoning requirements and will be presented to the council at a future date. In the meantime, the concept plan proposal shows the subject properties combined with 4 other parcels with already established mixed-use future land use designations to develop into a single-family residential subdivision project. The entire project site will consist of about 50 acres and it proposes 175 single-family lots just based on the concept plan. Orange County Public Schools has provided a report indicating that capacity for the proposed development is not available at the high school level and is deficient by 15.065 seats. Elementary and middle schools are scheduled for relief in 2022. The affected schools are Wolf Lake Elementary, Wolf Lake Middle School, and Apopka High Schools. DRC and Planning Commission recommends approval, and the recommended motion is to accept the first reading of ordinance number 2822 and authorize transmittal to the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity. Staff and applicant are available for questions.
Any questions for Jean? Commissioner?
I was trying to go back and find, is this the project that did not want to build a wall?
No, sir. You've seen, I think this council has seen a proposal for rezoning on these parcels right here, which they're trying to combine with the rest of this. These parcels right here have been approved previously for rezoning in the KPI. I don't know if there was an issue with the wall with this one. Yeah.
Any other questions, Commissioners? Okay. Anybody else? Questions for staff? Okay, any questions for the applicant? Are we good? Okay. Anybody from the public wish to speak on this matter? If not, we'll close the public hearing and look for a motion to approve ordinance number 2822 at first reading and hold over for a second reading and adoption.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Smith,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bankson. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next up, ordinance number 2826.
Okay, ordinance number 2826, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Apopka, Florida, adopting the 2021-2022 through 2026-2027 5-year capital improvement annual update, providing for legislative findings, providing for severability, providing for an exclusion from codification, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Good afternoon. This is just a procedural amendment to satisfy the FDEP grant requirements regarding funds for the potential purchase of Camp Weewa. Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval.
Any questions for Brian? It's just a formality, one of the things we have to do to prove that we're going to just take care of if we were able to purchase it, take care of the Camp Weewa. Okay.
So, I mean, we're approving, what are we, amendment to the city's 5-year capital improvement plan to add? So we're adding something we don't own yet?
We have to do that to be able to apply for the $1 million grant from DEP.
Yeah, it's just basically like the applicants before saying that it's on their roadmap. This is just a roadmap item. It's not committal.
Oh, okay. That's odd, but okay.
Okay. All right. Anybody from the public wish to speak on this matter? Not, we'll close the public hearing. Look for a motion to approve ordinance number 2826 at first reading and
So
hold
moved.
over for a second reading and adoption.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Bankson, second by Commissioner Smith. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries unanimously. Next up, ordinance number 2827.
Ordinance number 2827, an ordinance of the City of Apopka, Florida, changing the zoning from Ag to RSF I-1B for certain real property located on the north side of Poncan Road, comprising 23.4 acres more or less, and owned by FTI Funding LLC, providing for directions to the Community Development Director, severability, conflicts, and an effective date.
Thank you. For the record, Bobby Howell, Planning Manager. Subject properties are located at 3515 and 3081 Poncan Road, are approximately 23.4 acres in size total. Applicant is requesting a rezoning of the properties from agriculture to RSF 1B to allow for the development of a 46-lot single-family residential subdivision. Minimum lot widths within this RSF 1B are 75 feet. Minimum lot area of 8,000 square feet is required. And a minimum living area of 1,600 square feet is required in the zoning district. The RSF 1B zoning is compatible with the surrounding areas. The surrounding properties are primarily residential and agricultural in nature. Orange County Public Schools provided a report that indicates capacity is not available at the high school level and is deficient by 4.847 seats. Property is zoned for Apopka High. The Development Review Committee recommends approval. The Planning Commission unanimously recommends approval, and staff recommends approval. Staff and the applicant are here for questions.
Okay. Any questions for Bobby?
I don't know what prompted me to ask this. On the south side of that property, I haven't driven over this stretch in a little bit. Is there development going in on the Orange County side, on the south side of there?
Yeah, I believe it's called Riviera Hills.
Okay, and so the only reason why I asked that is in terms of, and this is, again, not part of this business, but just be thinking about it going forward, in terms of the ingress egress. Is there any ingress egress on the county side that you all are working in conjunction with them to make sure that those, what I don't want to get in the habit of is like on Rock Springs Ridge up by Publix, we've got that kind of staggered people going.
Yeah.
Just think about that.
Yeah, okay. That's something we'll look at the major development plan stage. They've submitted a major development plan right now that's currently under review, and we'll coordinate with the applicant on that.
Any other questions? Okay. All right, anybody from public wish to speak on this matter? Not, we'll close the public hearing, look for a motion to approve ordinance number 2827 at first reading and hold over for a second reading and adoption.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Becker, second by Commissioner Velasquez. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next up, ordinance number 2828.
Ordinance number 2828, an ordinance of the City of Apopka, Florida, changing the zoning from transitional to planned development for certain real property at 810 South Binion Road, comprising 31.4 acres more or less, and owned by Clounce Farm, Inc., providing for directions to the Community Development Director, severability, conflicts, and an effective date.
Thank you. For the record, Bobby Howell, Planning Manager. The property is located at 810 South Binion Road and is approximately 30.92 acres in size and is zone transitional. Surrounding properties to the north include residential single-family 1B zone property and RSF 1B zone property to the south. The surrounding properties are primarily residential in nature. Future land use shows that the primarily future land use designation are low-density residential. The commercial piece that you see on the right-hand side of the screen, that was approved for a change to low-density residential at the March 17th, 2021 meeting. PD Master Plan Major Development Plan proposes a residential subdivision consisting of 67 lots at a density of 2.16 dwelling units per acre. The PD calls for a net density that is approximately 70% less than what is allowed under the future land use designation, which is 3.5 dwelling units per acre. Lot sizes range from 6,600 square feet in area to 7,800 square feet in area. 48 of the lots are 55 feet in width, and 19 of the lots are 65 feet in width. Minimum living area of 1,800 square feet is proposed within the development. 65-foot wide lots are proposed around the outer perimeter of the subdivision, while the 55s are located within the interior of the subdivision. The 65s are proposed on the outer perimeter to be consistent with the Clear Lake Landing subdivision to the north, where the lots are 75 feet in width. Just kind of backtrack a little bit, staff really has worked with the applicant. When they first came in, they proposed all 50.1-foot lots. We told them that was not acceptable. And so we did some negotiations, and this is what we've arrived at, is this lot size.
And raise the building size.
Yes, sir, exactly. Access to the site is proposed via full access located on Lust Road and Binion Roads. Access point here on Lust and on Binion. Internal streets will be dedicated to the public. Of the 30.92 acres, 12.51 are reserved for open space. 3.71 acres are reserved for recreational amenities, which includes a 5-foot wide pedestrian trail that meanders around the internal portions of the site, a tot lot, a dog park, and a soccer field. 12-foot wide bike trail will be dedicated to the city along Binion Road and will ultimately hook into the planned trail network that's proposed in that area of the city. 5-foot wide sidewalk will be constructed along the Lust Road frontage, and a right-of-way dedication of 0.63 acres will be provided to the city along Lust Road. A 6-foot tall masonry wall with columns will be provided along Lust Road and Binion Roads. The applicant is requesting a rezoning of the property to PD instead of a conventional zoning designation to allow protection of natural environmental features of the property, which includes wetlands, floodplains, karst areas that a conventional zoning district and development criteria does not permit on the property and make it very difficult to achieve. Orange County Public Schools has provided a report that indicates capacity for proposed development is not available at elementary school level and is deficient at 12.224 seats, property zone for Apopka Elementary. Development Review Committee recommends approval. Planning Commission unanimously recommends approval. Staff recommends approval, and staff and the applicant are here for questions.
Okay, any questions for Bobby? Okay.
Well,
Anybody okay.
The drawing that the previous applicant showed us, where it showed planned development with school seats reserved for schools, do we help anybody with the city that's keeping track of each time we approve these developments that seats weren't available? I mean, we keep saying 4, 12, 6. They eventually add up.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask the same question. Are we keeping track of all the developments? Because we have 4, we have 5, we have 20. At some point, at the end of the day, we've made all these approvals, but now we have like 40 seats that are not available. And how are we addressing that?
We're looking right now at capacity. And so you got capacity for zoning, future land use, and you got concurrency. Concurrency is required at platting stages. I am the liaison to OCPS, so I'm the one that gets the data that shows how much seats are deficient. Ultimately, it's Orange County Public Schools that tracks who's using the capacity that's allocated in the encumbrances. So for instance, when the gentleman up here on the 2302 Ocoee-Popka Road talked about the encumbrance for Sentosa East Shore, they have that capacity reserved until 2022. So it's kind of like they got their place in line, and you know, whoever comes last is back in the back of the line.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. So the capacity is kind of the leading edge, right? It kind of gives us an indication of where we're at. Now, and Commissioner Smith's point, I mean, we're saying 2, 4, 12, 15, whatever. But during concurrency, and typically some of those are more quasi-judicial in nature too. I mean, I'm trying to I want to give us some ability to make some more binary decisions versus each one of us up here. It's a feeling and emotion-based thing of what that number needs to be at.
Right.
And so, yeah, we still have recourse as a council during plating or during whatever the final piece is for that, for the concurrency, but that's kind of giving the developers a false promise too. We don't want to get to that stage where they're ready to churn dirt or whatever, and then we're saying, nope, can't do it. So there's got to be a happy balance somewhere in there. I just don't know what that looks like.
Capacity, only to my knowledge, the only place in Florida that does capacity is Orange County. Everywhere else in Florida is concurrency, which is state law. It's been in state law since, I think, 2005 or so, 2008. At the concurrency stage, what the developer of this project, let's use this one for an instance, they're ready to get their construction plans approved, go to plat. They turn in an application to Orange County Public Schools. Orange County Public Schools says there is no available seats for your concurrency, so therefore you have to mitigate. What we would do then is take that concurrency mitigation agreement to the city council, and we're going to have one come up on the 21st for an unrelated project. And OCPS usually approves those, and then city council approves those. And the mitigation, it can be a contribution of money, land for a school, a whole number of things. So the capacity is really just Orange County thing, and it only applies at rezoning, future land use, and I'll make a dividing line. Concurrency is at platting stage, development stage, when you go to actually construct the buildings.
Yeah, which, and I get, but if a, play this one out real quick. If a school is at, let's say, 120% capacity right now.
Yeah.
And we do concurrency, and concurrency finds, hey, your additional 15 people that we've approved as part of this deal, they don't have room for 15 more kids. And they come up with a concurrency mitigation agreement, money is exchanged, but at the end of the day, we're adding to 120% with 15 more kids. We're perpetuating an existing problem.
Right.
So yeah, on paper, we all should pat ourselves on the back and feel good about it, but at the end of the day, we're still causing stress on the system. And so it's that piece that we just want to know our boundaries here,
Right.
What makes good sense for us.
Right, and the way that the comprehensive plan, the public schools facilities element is set up, you'll recall last year, the city council adopted the amendment to the public schools facilities element, which basically allows the city council to use that as one of the factors in making their decision as capacity determinations. You know, this is pretty, it's at 12 seats at elementary. We have some projects that have had a lot more deficiencies. But then again, you got concurrency, which if there's some problem there, the OCPS will cause them to mitigate it.
Yeah, and to the point that was previously made, I think Jim mentioned it, the capacity is based off the max density allowable under that density classification.
Yes.
So you're gonna, that's worst case scenario, you're gonna land somewhere in between that and what the lowest, average is.
Yeah, I
So
believe
yeah, I
this
get it.
one, gross density is 2.1 dwelling units per acre, and they're rated for up to 3.5, I believe. So that's that give. Now, the other thing that you mentioned is that we've got that in-between area when things are approved versus when the payment is going into the system. And that was brought up right near the beginning, is that the school board can't build new schools or add anything to it until they're way over capacity, and it could be 120, 125%. So what we're doing is we're paying into the system so they can actually build more schools to make it below capacity. It's a backwards way to do it, but it's way Tallahassee has it right now. Until somebody wakes up and says, hey, we've got the potential for 5,000 more units over the next 3 to 5 years.
Well, it's
If
more
they-
Orange County than the state.
Orange County, yeah.
Okay.
But OCPS can't build a new school until it is over capacity. They can't go in and look at what's being approved and then say, hey, we need to build a school because we're going to be over capacity. So it's a
Interesting, I was talking to the principal at Apopka High School, Mr. Hines, and we were talking about Apopka High School and Wekiva. Wekiva's at 70 or 80% capacity. He said, and Apopka's over capacity. He said, all they have to do is magically redraw the lines, and we're both under capacity. He said, so it's that convoluted. You can just draw the lines based on schools that are under capacity, but you hate to disrupt families that are that are used to going to Apopka Elementary or, or Wolf Lake or whatever, so it's a,
Right, that's where the problem come in. All of a sudden, you move the line.
Right.
I'm a senior, now you want me to go to Wekiva.
right, exactly. No, but you can stay, that, I mean, the time we did it, when they built Wekiva, they gave you the option as if you were, I think, a junior, I think a
I think it
junior.
was junior and up.
Yeah, or
Yeah,
up,
could stay.
junior or
Yeah,
senior, you
but
can
they might not be
stay.
doing that anymore.
Correct, it could be, but it's kind of a, there's ways for them to do it. I mean, the dumb thing is, they just need to go ahead and just say, whatever the number needs to be, whatever that impact fee needs to be to build the schools, whatever that needs to be, it just should be, and just
Yep.
let us figure out, whether it makes sense for, the development, the areas and for us to make that decision. But right now, it's a convoluted, here's the impact fee, but if we want to charge you more, we can. And I can assure you that in the next several years that the legislature is going to solve it. I mean, they thought they solved it last year and they twisted it again. So it's at some point, it's coming back and the legislature is going to just tell them, you just charge what you need to charge and you can't keep holding things up, the way
Yeah,
they've
with
been
the old
doing it.
CEA problem, that, like you said, legislator, we thought we got that taken care of, but because all these other stipulations are in the charter for Orange County, it might end up coming back to either Orange County putting it before the voters to change the system, or the legislation saying you can't do this and you can't do that again. And then it takes it out of the charter
Right, yeah.
by virtue, so.
Well, they also need to change the legislation as to when they can build a new school.
Correct.
I mean,
Yeah,
if you
there's-
see the growth coming, I mean, why wait until it's
Yep.
over flooding before you relieve it?
Yep. And that's where, it ends up coming back to us, and our hands are tied, we can't do
Right,
it.
so the public keep looking at us because we can approving all these
It is
developments,
not
we know the
us.
school's overcrowded, so it makes us like we're the villains.
Yep.
And I want to say, what I've heard is, and the number is probably still pretty accurate, they have $500 million in dollars to build new schools.
But they can't build them.
They could build them. It's 4 new schools. So they got $500 million.
Right, but I thought they have to get approved from the state before they can build it, because they got to be over capacity, even though they have the money.
That's a lot of it is
That's
that.
it,
but
yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
It's a certain percentage, and then they still
I
have to
got the
find
money,
the
but I
property
can't build
and-
because you say I don't have enough over capacity to build.
Yeah.
So have we started to designate or allocate students for the new school that we're having opened in next year?
That's all OCPS.
Oh, that's all
No, we have
CPS?
nothing, we have nothing to do with it.
We have
No,
nothing to
so
do
we're
with where
still
the.
just dealing with the schools that we
Yeah.
have in existence.
And by the way, when you see something in the newspaper regarding districting or they call it rezoning, it is not our zoning, it's what they.
Tenant zones.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right, Dan O'Keefe, you want to shed any new light on this situation? Or would you rather stay out of this one?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. We'd just like to thank staff for all the work on this one, and I would like to point out that the applicant who's here with us to answer any questions, they have been responsive to the feedback that they've received from the city, and we have gone from 76 units to 67 units. We're almost, I think, 40% open space on this project. We're providing the right-of-way for Lust Road, which somehow, Lust Road out there is on this property partly right now, so they're being part of the solution. They've got 2 trails, a 5-foot walking trail and a 12-foot bike trail, a lot of open space, and we think that this is compatible, and we would respectfully request your all's approval. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant?
Yes, can you explain, tell your reason for not wanting to build the wall?
I don't think we've had any request for a wall.
It says as a part of the PD, the applicant is requesting not to provide a brick wall along the 429.
If you could come up. Oh, okay, I think that's because our western boundary is the 429. You want to address that?
Sure. Chad Moorhead with Madden Moorhead and Stokes,
You
civil
need to come
engineer.
We can't hear you.
You can't hear me? Sorry.
Okay.
Chad Moorhead with Madden Moorhead and Stokes, civil engineer on the project. We're asking for that because of, if we built a wall, the project would be way up above it, just based on the elevation, so the wall really wouldn't do a whole lot to it, a lot of topography on the site. That's why we were asking for that. Yeah, along 429.
Yes, We did something similar with the Jones Road property, right? I forget what development that is.
Yeah.
Is that, what's the development off of Jones Road over there by Marshall Lake?
Lakeside, thank you.
Lakeside,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
south of Jones Road, is that the similar kind of elevation change?
They're way up above, yeah. They're way up above. If you drive down 429, you can see the homes, but it's like from here to up there. They put a wall in, you're not gonna, you still don't see the homes no matter what. And you can see the ones that are farther in on the backside where there are no fences required on the south side of the 55 with lots.
Okay. All right.
Okay, I'll drive by and look at it again.
Okay. So any other questions? If not, look, anybody from the public wish to speak on this matter? Come on, Rod Olson. Golly, it's almost 4 o'clock and waited this long. How about that?
You warned me. Rod Olson, 3156 Rolling Hills Lane in Apopka. I appreciate the comment and discussion with regard to OCPS because this is where it all hits. And a long time ago, I learned if you always do what you always done, you always get what you always got. And we continue to do this. Wolf Lake Middle and Elementary School opened with 46 portables 15 years ago. And they're talking about removing 5 or 6 now for the first time. Why? Because of the COVID. No one's in school. The new campus, the K through 8, has space available for 12 portables. We have got to stop. And we've got, lovingly, I was raised Catholic. Attila the Nun taught me, before you ever point your finger at someone else, ask yourself these questions. What did I do? What didn't I do? What could I have done? Because God's watching. And we have got to do something different. Orange County enjoys over 2,000 portables. You have to add the 3 largest school districts or the 4th largest school to come up with 100 more than what we have. Orange County has to do it differently. We have to work with the state. We have to work with OCPS. Quit pointing fingers. We got to get it done. We can't keep jamming kids into portables. I won't get into my safety and all that other businesses we have before, but we've got to stop doing it this way. And I understand things, I's are dotted, T's are crossed, but we have got to work together with OCPS, and we've got to work together with the state to make some changes. We can't continue to do this. 46 portables on this campus. And one of you commented, oh, if they realign the districts and do that, Orange County is not over capacity if you spread it out over the whole thing. It's a matter of where's my kid going to go to school? And can you afford the bus to put Rod in the bus to go 45 minutes one way to get to the school to make it equal? We've got to be smarter. We've got to do it better. I don't have the answers, but we've got to work together to come up with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Rod. Appreciate it. Okay, we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing. I want to bring up any other, here's what I think I'd like to do, Bobby, and since you kind of the lead on the OCPS, why don't we try to put together a letter that we as a council kind of, let him try to draft one, bring it back to council and say, hey, here's some City of Apopka's thoughts on, what we should do. At least put it on record that here's what we think should happen as far as the OPS and overcrowding and schools being built. And at least we'll at least go on the record that we've done something. Does that sound like
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So Bobby, if you'll work on that for me, that'd be awesome. Then we'll bring it back at the next council meeting and we'll send it up the chain. Okay, with that.
Yeah, I mean, just reiterate, I mean, we still have recourse, right? I mean, it's at concurrency phase, but it's not going to be pretty, right? I mean, because an applicant like yourself, marching down the path, hey, I've got my land use change or my zoning change that we're exploring here today, and you're going to get to a concurrency conversation, and maybe our comfort level up at that stage isn't to say, okay, we're willing to take the risk. It's nope until there's satisfaction. I'm just saying we still have that recourse. It's just not going to be pretty for all parties. So, there's a way to mitigate the risk still of our abilities up here at council.
Okay. All right. Close the public hearing then and look for a motion to approve ordinance number 2828 at first reading and hold over for a second reading and adoption.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Becker,
Second.
second by Commissioner Velasquez. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Yep. Next up, ordinance number 2836.
Ordinance number 2836. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Apopka, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Apopka by creating Chapter 2, Article 8, Code Enforcement, by amending Part 3, Land Development Code, Article 2, Administration, Section 2.3, Advisory and Decision-Making Bodies and Persons, by amending Part 3, Article 9, Enforcement, Section 9.5.1, Responsibility for Enforcement, by amending Part 3, Article 9, Section 9.5 in its entirety, providing for codification, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, and setting an effective date.
Good afternoon, members of the council. This ordinance is part housekeeping, part updating our code enforcement ordinance. One of the matters that concerned me and kind of drove for this amendment is, as our code was currently constituted, the code enforcement section was put in the Land Development Code and incorporated as part of enforcement and administration of the Land Development Code, and it made it unclear whether it actually applied to the code itself, especially since many of our violations are located in the Code of Ordinances. So what this ordinance does is it moves the administrative aspects of code enforcement over to the Code of Ordinances in Chapter 2, which is the administration portion of the code. It is then referenced in the Land Development Code. That enforcement of the Land Development Code will be done through code enforcement as provided for in Chapter 2 of the code. The update aspect of it is since the city has now exceeded a population of 50,000, the state of Florida authorizes local governments that have that population to increase the maximum fines that code enforcement can levy from the $500 amount that's in Chapter 162 to $1,000 per day for a first violation. I believe, let me update my numbers again. So it's $1,000 per day for the first violation, $5,000 per day for repeat violations instead of $1,000, and up to $15,000 for a violation if the violation is found to be irreparable or irreversible. And that usually, the best example are certain environmental violations where you just can't fix it. So therefore, that's defined to be levied. So that's the purpose of this code enforcement ordinance. It's just mainly a lot of housekeeping. It makes it now consistent that code enforcement is the mechanism to enforce our code, both our Code of Ordinances and our Land Development Code. So any questions, I am here.
Any questions for Michael? Okay. All right, anybody from the public wish to speak on this matter? If not, we'll close the public hearing and look for a motion to approve ordinance number 2836 at first reading and hold over for a second reading and adoption.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Smith,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bankson. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next up, resolution number 2021-08.
Okay, resolution 2021-08, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Apopka, Florida, supporting community project funding for construction of an additional water storage tank at the Northwest Water Production Plant and requesting the Honorable United States Representative Val Demings to support the City of Apopka's request for community project funding for a water storage tank at the Northwest Water Production Plant, providing for an effective date.
Okay, good afternoon again. Congress last year approved the allowances of their members of Congress to include earmarks in bills and appropriations bills, and therefore, in order to then
Community projects.
well, I wanted to call it pork. But the yes, the earmarks are now known by the name community project funding. So as part of the process to request such CPF of your local representative, the local government has to pass a resolution showing support for the project that they seek to request an allocation of funds from Congress. And therefore, the reason for this resolution is for the council to express their support for requesting funds for the construction of the additional water storage tank at the Northwest Water Production Plant.
Any questions for Michael? Just to give you a little context, so she gets 10 per year, and so just look at, based on how big of, you know, the district is, I figured we'll put one in two different kind of areas. Both are needed. So if we got the funding, we'd be excited, and if we don't, you know, it's, both are still in the, you know, the 5-year capital plan. So we just picked two out of the many projects that you could help with some support.
So if the pig's gonna get lipstick, might as well be our pig.
Exactly. Any other questions for Michael? Okay. Anybody from public wish to speak on this matter? Not, we'll look for a motion to approve Resolution 2021-08.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Smith,
Second.
second by Commissioner Becker. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries unanimously. Next up, Resolution 2021-09.
Resolution 2021-09, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Apopka, Florida, supporting the community project funding for the construction of additional active outdoor recreation facilities and requesting the Honorable United States Representative Val Demings to support the City of Apopka's request for community project funding for active outdoor recreation facilities, providing for an effective date.
Okay, this is similar to the previous resolution. This is the request for CPF for expanded outdoor recreation facilities within the city. We have provided our justification for the need for these additional facilities, and this resolution reflects the support of the local government in asking, in the need for these facilities, and therefore in its request for CPF from Congress.
And I did forget to mention, though, that these are supposed to have been in by the 15th of April, so the reason I just found out, so I thought we better get something in there versus losing that opportunity. So hope everybody's okay with that. It was more of a timing issue.
When you all send these to Representative, do you give any sort of cost guidance, or you
Yes.
just, okay?
Right. Now, this is just one exhibit as part of the packet. It's an entire packet. The resolution is just one. But yes, they'll know how much to fund, what's the funding, and all that. But one of the items that has to be included, similar to there being a resolution for what we did for Camp Weewa, it's a similar case. This is a resolution that shows, that evidences the support of the local government in wanting this project and therefore needing these funds.
Gotcha.
Or
Thanks.
requesting these funds.
Okay.
So you're requesting the funds to expand our recreation up in Jason Dwelly, is that where?
Correct.
Can I ask, where are you expanding it?
Yeah, it's basketball
I
courts.
believe there's additional basketball courts, the construction of pickleball courts, and there was also the
Volleyball.
construction of a sand volleyball and construction of an accessible playground.
Okay, so my concern
And additional
is,
And
tennis
additional
courts.
tennis courts, sorry.
I know the city owns the property outside, over the wall of Rock Springs Ridge. That whole, where you took all the trees down. Is that part of where you're going to expand?
That I'd have to defer to the Recreation Department for where they believe.
Because that's a question that everyone keeps asking me, what are they doing with that property? Besides what just happened with the other thing.
Come on.
So, I need to at least have an answer.
I think as far as that area goes, you're talking about between Brush Drive and the fire station?
Yes.
I think we were talking about the accessible playground for that area.
When you say what?
Accessible playground as part of this request from Val Demings was there was $350,000 for an accessible playground.
So there are plans to expand the recreation in that area behind Rock Springs Ridge?
Potentially.
Okay. I know the city owns it, but are you going to have, and I mean, this is just something separate. And I will tell you, you already know that the residents came out against another project that we had there. Are you going to have a public hearing for them before
We're gonna have
before
a
you
public,
present
we're gonna
that?
have a public meeting soon, in the next.
Soon
in the
on
next-
everything.
Yeah, because everyone's, what are we doing back there? Everyone knows the city owns that property. You took down all the trees, and their expectation is you're putting back trees. And right now, you're telling me no. we're not putting back
Well,
up trees.
I
We're
think,
putting
I
a
think we
playground
were,
there.
I think, as far as this goes, and we've been very careful, the conversations that we've had internally about anything that we put in that area would be very low impact. And so something like, if we did this, if we put an accessible playground in there and this opportunity came up and we had that, that's something that it's a daytime activity that's not gonna generate a lot of noise and a lot of, actually, it's not gonna be, you know, soccer games and basketball games and a lot of, it's an accessible playground for young kids to play on. So, and I don't think it would be in an area where it's right in somebody's backyard. I think we'd probably try to locate it as close to the fire station as possible, so.
Okay. So now I have an answer
Okay.
when they ask me.
Okay, but this
So I
isn't,
appreciate
obviously,
that.
this is
And-
not concrete, this is not a concrete.
Still
Um,
fluid. Yeah, and
yeah.
I mean, the reason we took the trees down is because we were either gonna pay to take them down one at a time, or we got paid to take down the pines that were
Yeah,
there.
there was-
We
that
didn't
was
take
the-
down any oak trees. We
Yeah.
only took down the pine trees, got paid for them, and then I asked Brian to take out the cherry laurels, which are
Right.
a nuisance tree. So the only trees we took out were pines, because we were gonna have to pay to have them taken down,
Yeah.
and cherry laurels, which are just a nuisance tree.
Yeah, that wasn't, that
I know,
wasn't
but
something that anybody came
It's
into.
completely just leveled.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, no,
completely
and that wasn't,
leveled back there.
so I'm sure when the mayor came in and when I came in, believe me, nobody came in and said, yeah, let's take the pine trees down. It just, that came upon us, that was something we just had to do at the time, but.
That's
we've
not a
left that
problem,
open.
it's just
Yes.
that, since we leveled it and there's not
Mm-hmm.
too many trees, I mean, there's a few magnolia trees.
Yeah, we put magnolias, we planted some more oaks. I mean, they take time to.
They take a
they
long
take
time.
yeah,
But
so.
there's still a lot of open space, and one
Mhm.
of the questions is,
Yes.
what are they planning to do? What are they planning to do? And
I don't
um,
think, you know,
and
and
that's-
like I said, there's nothing concrete, but I would say that the conversations that we've had is anything that we put in that area, we're very sensitive to that neighborhood. And we understand that anything in that, if we put anything in that spot, that it would be something that was low impact, low noise, something that wouldn't really have a negative impact on that neighborhood, so.
Okay, just. Mm.
Well, I mean, and a dog park could be part of the overall plan for the entire property when you consider both sides of the fire station and you consider what we develop in Jason Dwelly, but it wouldn't, that's gonna be part of a different, meeting.
Well, I can't wait to solve that problem, because that means we've got the money to do it, so.
Right, exactly,
Yeah.
yes. Mhm.
The only thing I will ask, and
Mm-hmm.
I will ask of our staff, and lately I seem to find out things through social media,
Mhm.
and I find out things through the local newspaper,
Mhm.
and then I'm surprised by what the
Mhm.
plans are. So I would appreciate if the staff at some point, when you have something coming down the pipes or you're planning something, would you let the commissioners know, at least give us a heads up? Because I find that when I turn on social media, I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. Or I open up the Apopka Chief, I go, oh, I didn't know that. So,
I mean, as far as
Yeah.
this particular project goes, this is honestly brand new in the
yeah,
last
just,
couple of
I-
weeks.
that's all I ask, just
Okay.
so that.
I'm not,
When
is there something,
yeah,
I mean,
there-
from
there's-
my
there's
end. and
little
my-
several things already, but
Okay.
that's neither here nor there, but that's why I'm asking you, because we're doing this resolution.
right.
And the first thing that came to my mind is, so that's that open area behind Rock Springs Ridge. And
Mm-hmm.
I've been asked quite a few times, what is the city
And
planning? for
like I
that?
said, we honestly haven't been planning anything there. This is something that came up just recently with the CPF project, so.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody from the public wish to speak on this matter? Not, look for a motion to approve resolution number 2021-09.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Becker, second by Commissioner Bankson. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next up, resolution 2021-10. Vladimir?
Resolution 2021-10, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Apopka, Florida, amending the budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2020, and ending September 30, 2021, providing for budget amendment.
Good afternoon, mayors and commissioners. This is a request to council to adopt resolution number 2021-10 totaling $733. The Exhibit A will show 3 items. The first one is the amendment that include changes in revenues and appropriations for the final payment of Section 6 of the Martin Road Interchange Cost Sharing Agreement dated September 22nd, 2015, and the request is pursuant to the payment of synthetic tax increment financing for tax year 2020, and that is a total of $6,898. The second one is an amendment that includes changes in funding and appropriations related to the Advent Health Apopka Partnership proposal approved by the City Council on March 4th, 2020, and the budget amendment that was previously approved on March 18, 2020, address expenditures affiliated with the agreement's multiple recreation projects. However, the previous amendment did not include the funding that was to be dedicated to sports scholarships in the amount of $10,000. This amendment from reserves will address these, and funding will be reimbursed by Advent Health over the agreement, which is 5-year period. And the third one is the amendment that includes changes in revenues and appropriations related to the City of Apopka and the St. Johns River Water Management District Florida Springs Grant Program. And the agreement was executed on September 17, 2018 for a distributed sewer retrofit project. An amendment was updated on March 3, 2021 to allow St. Johns River Water Management District to pay 75% of the costs per each unit and change the total cost share limit from St. John River Water Management District to $337,500. 13 units will be installed at $14,295 each for the total cost of $185,835. But of these total costs, the city will only be responsible for $46,459, and the remaining of the $139,376 for those 13 units will be reimbursed by the San John Water Rivers Management District. Those are the 3 items, and I'm open for any questions.
Any questions for Vladimir? One of the things that she might not be able to answer, maybe Edward, can you tell me how much that the TIF was for Martin Road? I mean, it was some.
The total, I know, Mayor, and the reason we're making this adjustment is because we didn't think we would have that payment.
Right.
This is the final payment, closes it out. But if I recall, we've had to pay the last couple of years. The last 2 years you've had to pay, and I think one was around 140 or 50,000, and then one of them was 200 and some thousand, 240.
But you remember what the
250
total? So what was the total? Wasn't it 10 million?
Yeah, for the total for the
10
whole
million.
project, right around $10 million. Yeah.
And of that we had to pay, and of that our payment was how much? Any idea?
I'm not sure the total,
Mayor.
Mayor.
4 million? For some reason I think 4 million, but I don't know.
I
No,
thought
I think it
4
was
million was like the total cost of that thing. No?
I think it was.
What was 4
close-
million was the total cost? Huh?
But we paid the whole amount, but I'm thinking it's closer to 6 million.
Okay.
So, but you know, we'll get the
Yeah,
numbers. We'll get the numbers so you have all the numbers.
Okay, all right.
But it is complete. That is,
Yeah,
you will not
so-
see this synthetic TIF
Which
anymore
is
on.
money that we now can spend on our own infrastructure, so, yeah. Any other questions for Vladimir? Okay. All right, anybody from the public wish to speak on this matter? Not, we'll close the public hearing, look for a motion to approve Resolution 2021-10.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Bankson,
Second.
second by Commissioner Becker. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries unanimously. Okay. Edward?
Did you do the city council reports?
Okay, city council reports, I'm sorry. All right. Yes, Diane Velasquez.
I'm so exhausted, my brain right now. The only thing I can say is, I keep promoting Saturday Sounds, come on out. That's my, Saturday from 5 to 7, and I've been enjoying that. So Saturday Sounds, here we go.
All right. Commissioner Bankson?
We really had some good discussion on, the main thing for me was that question about this school concurrency issue and dealing with that. And I'm glad that we're going to put a statement together. Can we go further than that and get information? Is it at the state level? Is it at Orange County? Is it some of each?
Well,
Because I
state
don't want to
always-
just do something that feels good, but really doesn't do anything in the long run. I'd
State-
like to know if it's state level and who we should talk to.
State's trumping local, and they thought they trumped them last year, and then Orange County did a workaround, and so now I'd be surprised if they don't have another fix in the session we're currently in, but that's just, yeah, but we shall see. Okay. Commissioner Smith?
I have nothing today.
Okay. Commissioner Becker?
I'll yield.
All right, wow, okay. Edward?
What's this little black thing?
That's
Oh, okay.
it's coming.
All right, all right. I'm like, what's this little black thing that we have?
So, I don't know if you can see. All right, so you've been hearing the same story month after month after month. Well, I will tell you that it continues and almost mirrors exactly the month before. So your sales tax, you'll see your sales tax numbers this month were $696, a little more than $696,000. Still a 27% decrease over the prior year. Overall, if you annualize this out, it's about a 7.9% reduction in our current budget. What we've currently estimated for budget, we're down about $793,000 through March. So this is halfway through the year. Keep in mind, the second half of the year, we're starting to come to that comparison where we're comparing last, where in 2020, the COVID numbers actually hit. So it'll be interesting to see how we compare to that time as we move through this each month and get closer to this fiscal year. So anyway, so there's that news. Two other quick things that I'd like to say is I'd like to mention to you that the inmate crews, as you know, we had 4 inmate crews. We went down to 2 in the last budget. We are hearing from DOC that that we're going to lose our inmate crews for, they're saying, a 12-week period. I'm thinking it could even be longer due to staffing issues and things that they're having with their staff. So what we're going to do is take those dollars that we had budgeted for that and use them if we need to supplement them with temporary labor. We will do that. All of this being said, as we move through the budget process, we will be bringing these items forward to you. Brian Foreman will bring these for you to do his budget, bring it forward to you with his budget as we work through these work squads. But I wanted you to understand that so that, where are they? What happened to them? So we got word so we'll kind of
When is
redirect
that gonna
that
happen?
funding. Their last day's tomorrow.
Oh. And
So-
so we have to wait to budget to?
No. What we're going to do is we're not going to be paying the Department of Corrections because the inmates will not be here with us. What we're going to do is use redirect these dollars to temporary labor to fill that gap so that we can continue forward with our budget this year. And then in the current budget, we will be talking about what are our plans for inmate crews going forward based on, are they going to be available anymore? Do we go take a different approach? We'll be bringing that to you at the budget hearings. So I just wanted you to have that. And then the last piece of information, COVID has been hit all around. The shingles for the City Hall roof, they're on order. They're hoping that, COVID has had a lot of materials. We've had problems getting lots of materials because of COVID, but the plan is you should see, they plan on the first week of May to have the new roof put on City Hall, and then to fix the cornice around the top where we have the damage. It'll take a couple weeks to do that because they have to replace a lot of that wood, and then they have to do gutters. So hopefully with COVID, if they get all the shingles in on time, the roof on City Hall should be, all the stuff, the roof and everything on the roof should be completed by the end of May.
So it's about time for rainy season.
Right.
Okay. All right. Michael?
Nothing new to report.
Nothing. All right. Thank you. Okay. Now, Commissioner Velasquez, your little piece of black plastic. This is the liner for the pond at Golden Gym. So it was interesting when we had the opportunity to, put in this pond, which was a lot of help from St. John's Water Management. We had 2 ways to do it. A thinner plastic with 2 feet of fill over the top of it, or a thicker and no additional soil over the top. This will obviously give us more water to hold. And so we're gonna be probably north of 350 million gallons of storage. And we've probably got 10% of the storage pond is now lined, and so they're continuing to do that. And we just approved them a couple of months ago. So this is the liner that you'll see out at the Golden Gem Pond site. So if you get a chance, want to go out and take a look at it, it's a massive hole in the ground that will go a long way toward meeting our water needs as far as irrigation goes. So anyway, all right, couple of quick things here. Project Mockingbird, we're in the running for it's a manufacturing company. They're out of I want to say Texas. It's they give you code names. Project Mockingbird. If we were to be selected, it would be up to 500 jobs, as well as $100 million of investment. And they're looking at our site out at the airport. So hopefully we get that one. And I think I've met with them 3 or 4 times. So got a pretty good relationship. Hopefully, the numbers work out and we are selected. Vaccinations, second vaccination for those that got the Pfizer here in Apopka at the VFW. That will be tomorrow, Thursday, April 8th. So if you haven't already called in to get your second appointment, please do that. We want to make sure you get that second vaccination. Third up, let's see, barbecue competition, hometown showcase. That's coming up this weekend. So Friday, the barbecue showdown. I know we've got over 70 teams now. Got a wing competition on Friday night, People's Choice Award. We've got we got Bailey Callahan as our keynote, Chad Cribb Band, Johnny and the Moondogs, Bobby Sanders, and special guest Jeremiah Williams going to be singing for us. So going to be great. Also got axe throwing, barbecue food, merchandise, cornhole tournament by the Elks, fireworks, local beer and wine vendors, special brew from 3 Odd Guys, T-shirts for sale. And like to thank our sponsors, Dan Newland Injury, Sonny's Barbecue, Mullinex Ford, Waste Management, Liner Patch, Nelson's Tents and Events, no relation, Hilton Garden Inn, 103.1 The Wolf, and Apopka Elks Lodge. So, and the Florida Barbecue Association. So it should be a great weekend. Come on out. Fireworks should be around 9 o'clock. We'll start the music at 3. 8:20. Wow, we're down to, okay, 8:20 for fireworks. So don't be there at 9 o'clock. You'll miss them.
The T-shirts are for sale here?
Where are they at, Brian? Where are the T-shirts available for sale? You don't have them yet? Do we? Okay.
You got some
So
extra.
you can't purchase them before Saturday? You cannot purchase them before Saturday? Oh, okay.
You can't sell them if you don't have them, Brian.
Yeah, last time they were selling them in the lobby, that's why I was asking.
Exactly.
And you got some tall sizes this year, right?
Oh, gosh. All right. Rotary Fairs coming up. It's starting tomorrow. It'll be at Kentland Nelson Park through Sunday. So if you want to bring the kids down and ride a ride or two, should be a great time. Worthy cause. They donate money to the Central Florida community. Jeans Wednesday, just want to let you know, thank you to all the employees out there that donated to Lynn Collette in finance, facing some tough challenges as far as cancer. So we, as always, our employees step up and really make a difference, and helping this family out is really touching. So I appreciate that. Officer Quentin Ned made his way to Tallahassee, was on the floor of the House of Representatives. Would have loved to have gone, but the protocols I was forced to go through and who I could see and couldn't see, which was about 0. I didn't make the trip up there, but I got to see him on the House floor. He had a great time up there and represented Apopka well. So he was our Officer of the Year, and be on the House floor in Tallahassee was pretty cool for him as well. Let's see, want to give a big shout out to Rob and Bob. Came out, they were here last night at midnight because our system went down. So they were here making sure we were all up and running. And so thank them for coming in late last night to get us back up and running. And the last thing, I just want to read a letter, which I think is really cool. It's from the Conlin Company. And they are the ones that are building the Amazon project. And I just want to read this to you as far as our staff goes. It's to Scott, obviously, that runs the building department. As we have now achieved the final milestones of the DFL 5-Amazon project, I would like to personally extend my build team's gratitude to yourself and all of your personnel at the city's numerous departments we were in contact with. As you were a very instrumental cog in our fast-paced machine, I can't express enough that it's always refreshing to work with exceptional individuals and municipalities that truly understand the construction processes and support the timing of seemingly impossible build schedules that we strive to maintain. Thank you all again for your very enjoyable experience that I would definitely want to be a part of again. So I thought that was really cool. So with that, meeting adjourned.